Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
So I'm thinking in my head, if Olin Buchanan was working for a TexAgs version of UConn, would his headline be, UConn do it again? That seems like something you might think of.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, I mean, that's
up your alley.
Pretty good, yeah.
It's so cheesy. Not that you are, but that line. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Hassan Diarra, a champion again.
Yeah.
Happy for that guy.
Yeah, like I said, we don't have a lot of memories of him, but
he was pretty good in the SEC tournament.
Well, I remember him hitting that three-pointer to beat Florida.
Yeah.
And he seemed like, in the limited time we were around him, a pleasant kid. So,
yeah,
good.
He's one of the, I hate to say it like this. Let me see how I want to phrase it. That's one of the transfer stories that I was disappointed when he left because I felt like he was, I believe Buzz called him an extension of the coaching staff when he was here. But he's one of the ones that like, go do it, man. Go do big things. I even told you earlier, Haynes King, go do big things at Georgia Tech. Some others I may not have the same kind of love for, but those guys, I'm happy for them.
Yeah. I thought he was, like I said, we had limited access to him. But as I recall, when we did have him, he was a pleasant kid. And like I said, I'll always remember. He made my stay in Tampa
longer,
a much longer stay. Yeah. I mean, not just him, but I thought I was going home one day.
Am I right, if my memory serves me right, didn't he have a huge turnover in that game, and then he came back?
He may have.
Yeah. He
may have, but I got to where I just remembered the part where that was such a big shot and to win it. And I remember I only took enough clothes for 2 days. And then they win, and then they beat out Auburn and Arkansas, and I had to go to find them all.
And was that the Tennessee final?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By then, they were just tired. You could tell that, all the 4 games in 4 days was taking a toll.
Well, pretty cool for UConn. I didn't care who won that, Purdue, UConn. I didn't mind. Did you see the little exchange from Zach Edey?
I saw the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I mean,
I like Dan Hurley. I like him.
I understand. What I saw looked like Hurley's trying to say, like, hey.
But he was telling to the refs, and I think Edey was just walking by.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong on that.
Well, the video I saw maybe, doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
Because I started getting bored with the game.
Yeah.
And checked out pretty early because it wasn't very competitive.
Yeah. I don't think, Nick, is there somebody back there that can play the video for me or no? Cole can. All right. So have you seen this video from Dan Hurley from 2021 where they just got their butts kicked, right? And everybody's like, they're just not doing well. One of his first seasons there at UConn, they're just not very good. And he makes an announcement to the world of like, hey, you better see what's coming. And I think it's kind of cool when a team is able to, like Tim Tebow, remember when they didn't end up winning the championship that year, right? That's the year.
Actually, I think they
did that year?
Yeah.
Okay, when you can back up your talk, I love it. Here's Dan Hurley in 2021 after getting embarrassed at a game.
People better get us now. That's all. You better get us now because it's coming.
Sounds very Jackie Sherrill-like.
Yeah, good one.
Jackie Sherrill said, "Get your licks in now."
Get your licks in now, yeah.
Obviously, a great coach.
Yeah. He's not going to Kentucky.
Kentucky?
No.
I don't know why he would leave.
Two-time national champion.
Yeah,
like
he's got things going.
People want to go there again.
Yeah.
It's historically been since Jim Calhoun. When did he start doing his run? In early 80s, I guess.
They won with what? Kevin Ollie?
They won with Kevin Ollie. They won with Calhoun. They won with
Hurley.
So,
I've never been to Storrs, Connecticut. I've been to Storrs in Connecticut, but I've never been to Storrs, Connecticut. Luke,
you've been to Storrs in Connecticut.
Yeah, but not Storrs, Connecticut. And I have to wonder what it's like that all these basketball players, men and women, are so quick to go there. I think I got an idea that it's an example that it's about the coach more than the destination.
Yeah, about the coach. Hey, yesterday, out of, I think, nowhere for me at least, A&M got a transfer, defensive lineman, Joshua Selskar.
Yeah. It was out of nowhere to me, too. I was like, who?
Two-time captain?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I love two-time captains. 155 tackles, 90 solos, 65 assisted, 8 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, 2 pass deflections, 24.5 tackles, and again, two-time team captain. All about that life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to start or be quality depth.
I would, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking depth.
Yeah. But really good quality depth.
You know, again, a guy that's been a team captain, so it says a lot about what they thought about him in Orlando.
If I'm building a team, I go for team captains. Now, of course, you want talent, right? But especially a team that may have had some culture issues in the past, I'm bringing in dudes that understand their role.
Mm-hmm.
I want studs. Of course, we all want studs. But I want guys that are going to lead by example, lead with their voice. And even if they're not the starter, they set a tone for practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that looks like a really good addition to me because you're going to have depth.
Yep.
And he's been productive. I mean, he's not dominant. I mean, some guys have 8 sacks in a year, right?
Right.
He's had 8 sacks in 3 years. Okay. But he's obviously a productive player. And again, they thought enough of him, and his teammates thought enough of him to make him a captain 2 years in a row.
So quality depth there on the defensive line. And this kind of goes, interestingly, with what our topic was yesterday, where we're talking about the 2 deep.
Yeah.
Here's another one to add to that list.
It's going to be, I got to do it this week. And I'm like, I'm already racking my brain. And, I don't know.
Yeah.
What would be your guess for a starting lineup in the offensive line, tackle to tackle? Just your guess.
I don't even, there's a part of me that's like, is Ruben Fatheree a guarantee at right tackle? Is that, is it? I don't know. Chase Visantis, well, you know what? Who we've got a couple of guys that I think we know where they're going to be. I don't know where Bryce Foster is going to be. 100% honest with you. He might be your starting center. I would guess today he'd probably be your starting center. Who am I not thinking about here?
Well, you're not thinking of Demetrius Crownover.
Right.
You're not thinking about yet. You haven't gotten yet to Cam Dewberry. You haven't gotten to Mark Nabeau.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten to Trey Zune.
Trey Zune, I think, is going to be a starter.
I think he's a starter at left tackle.
Yeah. I think he's your starter at left tackle.
And then you got the guy who came in from Kansas.
Who's apparently looking great.
So
you got some issues there. Good issues. Good problem to solve.
Well, I mean, I do believe that they will be better than last year, but that set the bar pretty low.
Were they better last year or the year prior? The 5 and 7. I think they were better last year.
Were they?
I'm just gonna because of the 2 more wins, I guess. No, they weren't.
I believe that the talent was better than the instruction.
Sure. Yeah. So let's talk about Greg McElroy, who I think at times can be critical of A&M. He recently on his show said A&M is actually 18th in returning production in 2024, which is surprising. When I'm thinking about when Jimbo Fisher was fired and they had some turnover, man, it felt like they lost a lot of guys in the portal, didn't it? I felt like they had so many guys jump into the
Backups.
portal. I mean, a bunch of guys that decided to jump. He said that 3 times. It's like, man, shoot, who's going to be on the field for the Aggies? Yeah, they lost 20 transfers in the portal, but a lot of those guys were backups.
Yeah.
They didn't have impact players that decided to go. They did have some impact players that decided to go, but they'll still bring back guys that are difference makers, and I think that those guys that they added in the portal might be pretty good.
Do you know Evan Stewart had 38 catches last season, and 19 of them, half of them, came in the first 2 games? So for 10 games, 11 if you want, he averaged less than 2 catches a game.
What do you think?
Now, a lot of it he wasn't there.
Some of it he wasn't there. Some of it offense.
Some of it he might have been hurt. Some of it he might have been
deciding not to do things.
He might not have been
up the par.
He might have been hurt.
Yeah.
So, so what do you really lose with that Evan Stewart?
All you lose is the potential.
The potential,
right? Because he might be great at Oregon. He might be tailor-made for Oregon. It might be fantastic for him. But you lose potential. You lose a 5-star athlete at wide receiver who did not produce very much. Now, I'm sure from his camp, it'll be like, look at the offense. I was dealt.
Too.
Look at the offensive line.
Today Walker had more receiving yardage than.
Absolutely. And Anaya Smith seemed to do just fine in this system. Just fine.
The system needed to get better.
Yeah.
Goes back to the offensive line. You lost your
I would rather have Evan than not.
Okay.
Talent. Yeah. No, actually, let me phrase this. My interactions with him, very nice kid.
Seemed like a nice kid.
I don't know how he's like at practice. I don't know.
I'm just saying that, they're talking about what A&M lost, and I'm saying you look at Evan Stewart, man, he's not here anymore. And I'm like, he's had half of his catches in 2 games.
Yeah.
One of them was against New Mexico.
Yeah.
And the other one was against Miami, where he had a good game, but he also had the softest play that cost his team that I have ever seen. A guy that has a chance to score a touchdown. I remember, and I guess I'll never forget this, and I'll never forgive him for it, but I remember going to Georgia. I guess it's 2019, and A&M's trying to rally and have a chance to win the game, and they make a pass to Jamon Osmond,
right?
And he catches the ball like at the 15, between the 15, and he turns upfield against Georgia, and he just, he's not afraid of anything, and he just turns upfield and he goes, through the defense, touchdown. You do the same thing to Evan Stewart. He's at the 5-yard line and
twice,
and he dances around because the touchdown wasn't as important to him as avoiding contact.
So to me, you only know what you lost midway or at the end of the season, right? So like when Caleb Chapman left, remember people were like, that's too bad. You lose some quality depth there. And then he goes to Oregon and doesn't do much.
Doesn't do anything.
Right? So to me, it's like, if he goes to Oregon, talking about Evan Stewart, and he's fantastic, then like, you know what? That was a loss. I would like to see what he could do.
Unless Jay Walker is fantastic.
And there you go, right? Walter Nolan, he's in your conference. That stings a little bit. He goes to the team that, I don't know, there's a lot of teams that in my mind you can't go to if you're an Aggie, but if you're not an Aggie, do whatever. And apparently he wasn't one. So you're not going to face him this year, but that one, it'll be how good Ole Miss does and how much of a story does he become on that defense.
Yeah, they think that because I talked to somebody in Memphis and they who's kind of close to that program. They think, well, if Walter Nolan is a first-round pick, we're going to be in the playoff, and if he's a second-round pick, we'll be probably a 10-win team, and if he's a third-day pick, we're probably 8-4. I'm like, you're putting all that
on one dude
that plays when he wants to. How many times did Walter Nolan get hurt?
Is that a reflection of today's athlete?
I think it's more common than it used to be, but I think there's plenty of athletes that still play because they like to play.
Yeah. Okay, how about this? Is that a reflection of a lot of 5-star mentality?
That that is probably correct. Even though there's a lot of 5-star.
And then you got 5 stars that just want to be out there and play. Yeah. That's what they want.
And those are the guys that will go into the NFL, and if they don't get hurt, they'll have long careers.
Yeah. Another thing from
Walter strikes me as if you'll remember this guy's name, he strikes me as the college version of Albert Hainsworth.
Oh yeah.
Remember the guy that got a lot of money and then quit? Just basically stopped trying to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he do in the?
I think he went to the.
No, but didn't he stomp on somebody? He's the one who stomped on somebody on the field, right?
Yeah, the Cowboys got Andre Gerrod.
Yeah, that's right. Andre Gerrod.
So, yeah.
That's right. Also, another point from Greg McElroy. The Aggies were 0-4 in one-score finishes.
Sure.
They're probably even a little bit better when you talk into account some of the metrics that you use when considering a jump in the following year. So I think A&M has a chance to be very dangerous this year.
Yeah, that's why we've talked about this before. You look at it and you're like, you were in the fourth quarter with a chance to beat Alabama and Tennessee and Ole Miss and, quite frankly, LSU.
Really, the last 2 years too. I mean, many of those stories were the same.
And you did all this with backup quarterbacks for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, why can't you be a good team? Why can't you contend, to be in the discussion for 10 wins this year?
Well,
especially if you're coached better.
If you're, and that, to me, the reason you lose close games consistently is the man with the headsets.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm not trying to be mean here. That's just a fact. If you continue to lose on the road, if you continue to lose close games, then you're doing something wrong.
You are.
It's not always the players, right? Now, the players do get blamed. Everybody gets blamed, right? Across the street when you don't do well, and that's why there are wholesale changes to an entire coaching staff.
Right. And, I've been very candid about this, and maybe I harp on it too much, but the fact that Mike Elko has somebody in charge of special teams as a coach, I think makes A&M a lot better. And I go back to the Miami game and the Tennessee game. And if you're better in special teams, Ole Miss, you lose it on a blocked field goal. You had a blocked field goal against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Plays that could have made a difference.
Kyle Lovingood on the YouTube page says, I'm excited about Walker and Moose this season. They're going to have a chance to turn some heads. I hope so. And you know what? I hope several of those receivers have a big year. I do. Noah Thomas especially.
Yeah.
His length, his size. He needs to have a big year.
Hopefully. Yeah. They're going to have big receivers.
Yep. Let's, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. 979-693-1150. You can text the show. Give us your thoughts on the newest edition, on how deep this team is and their chances, and maybe some thoughts on the other players that have left this program and how big of a loss it'll be. We can do that. 979-693-1150. You can call us. You can text us at that number. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. We go behind the glass and say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, just looking forward to hopefully a baseball game tonight. Hopefully they can get it in and the weather stays away. But kind of like what Bronny said, maybe a rain out wouldn't be the worst thing for the guys to, give them a good long while to rest up before number 6 Vanderbilt comes into Olsen Field this weekend. So looking forward to that. But yeah, love the transfer portal edition. It's like every time someone gets added, it's like a little piece of candy. Like, oh, who's this? And you dive right in. But hopefully that continues on in the spring window. I know some people are maybe leave. Who knows? We'll see. But I know A&M football is in good hands.
Guys are going to leave.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
I'd be surprised if they didn't have several.
Yeah.
Guys are going to realize I'm not going to play. My role's not going to be as
I don't think I like this staff for me. Like, there's going to be some of that. And some people, I'm sure that the coaching staff will be like, bye. And so I'm like, oh, man, are you sure? You should stay. Give us a chance.
I got a feeling that all the guys they want to stay will stay.
Well, again, if you consider how bad this program has been the last 2 years, the attrition hasn't been ridiculous. Like, you have your starting quarterback back, right? Like, Bryce Anderson is back. Torian York, who was a phenomenal freshman, is still here. There are a lot of names of people, like, if you are tail spinning, there's something special in College Station, and some of it is just our university, our great story, of the great people. Some of it is they believe in the new staff.
Well, And look, I understand NIL and all those things matter, but I still think your coach. What did we just talk about earlier about Storrs, Connecticut?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to Storrs, Connecticut because it's a vacation paradise.
Right.
You're going there because obviously you like the coaches. The coaches mean something.
100%. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. I know we got to check in with Luke Evangelist at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We will get to him here in a moment, but we'll hit a break. We'll come back, and then we'll do our performance of the week as well. Time now for career opportunities at the Association of Former Students. If you are looking for a reason to come back, I had those folks in here. Scott was in here yesterday talking about it. There's some great opportunities there with the Association of Former Students. Marketing department, you can work with Randy. If you are looking for a reason to move back to Aggie Land, you need to reach out to the association because they're seeking to hire professionals to join their team. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network, and they play a part in every Aggie story. You know it. Howdy to hear out there. Don't miss opportunities to help the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag Association Jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke Evangelist getting ready for the Gladiator Dash on Sunday morning. Are you ready, buddy?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I'll tell you what I'm even more ready for is my ring dunk. I've already gotten my ring, but it is ring week in Aggieland, and I'm going to be dunking my ring for the 4th time.
For the 4th time? Do people do multiple ring dunks?
Yeah, I know someone who's dunking for like their 8th time. It's just kind of do it with that. I mean, that's just kind of
it's like renewing your vows with your wife. Is that like?
Yeah. You just whenever your friends are doing it, your friends that are younger than you just do it with them. That's just the culture I've kind of grown up in. But yeah, I'm excited to do it for 4th time.
The alcoholic culture.
Yeah.
Your son would probably love to participate in a ring dunk.
He doesn't need the ring.
Well, I'm going to ask the older Ags that are listening, was this a thing when you were? I don't remember this being a thing. Like, it was like, we watched our younger.
This wasn't a thing when I was in school, and I'm, only like 2 years older than Luke. So Luke is just finding any excuse to
maybe my
4
friends,
beers.
Maybe my friends have misled me into thinking everybody did this, but that's, I'm no backing out now. The beer has already been poured. It's been whisked.
It's been poured already?
Yeah. I got to get all the bubbles out.
Wait. When are you doing this?
Friday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be bugs, bacteria,
No, David.
death?
There's a whole pass down of how you do it. You just whisk it and then you cover it with saran wrap. And unless a bug is biting through the saran wrap,
So it's like, to me, this is like cheating, right? It's like steroids during the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. This doesn't count. You got to drink the beer as beer. Obi, you agree?
Yeah, you would think. You'd think.
I'm going to drink water and act like it's beer. Come on.
I don't get it.
Okay, so when you put it like that, I just think it's easier.
I think you should challenge yourself, okay? You talk all this stuff that you can do great at Gladiator.
When you do push-ups, do you do them on your knees?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like you do curl push-ups?
That was pretty
good. That's not even comparable. I'm still drinking 4 beers. It's just happens to be warm and less bubbly.
Okay, you're still doing push-ups. They're just on your knees.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, you got some news for us.
Yeah, I do. I've got a little bit of a rankings update from
this
all of
generation, OB. Yeah. Like, I just want to transfer. I want to do 10 things of ring dunks.
Yeah, I think we need some toxic masculinity.
Wow. If anything, drinking more beer is masculine.
Real beer. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bud Light.
Okay. I mean, I did Michelob. That's fair.
I love OB's eyes. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
When was the last time you got beat up?
I remember it pretty vividly. It was like 4th grade. I got beat up on the playground.
Let me know who that kid is. I got your back. All right. Okay. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Rankings update. Yeah. Everyone loves to talk about A&M's Diamond Sports, and they're doing incredible, but there's a lot of other spring sports going on that are really great in their respective rankings. So we got baseball ranked 3rd, softball ranked 14th. Men's track is ranked number 1 in their outdoor rankings. Women's track is ranked 3rd. Men's tennis is ranked 8th. Women's tennis is ranked 11th. Men's golf 22nd and women's golf 18th. So every single spring sport inside the top 25 of their respective rankings.
That sounds fantastic.
That's the way it should be at Texas A&M. Everybody should be good.
You probably don't remember this. Do you remember when we went to the first preseason kickoff that I was a part of? Gabe was still hosting it, and he invited me on stage, and I was like, we're entering the golden era of Aggie athletics. Because I really believed it. A&M had just come out of the Orange Bowl victory. All the sports were pointing up. I felt like Buzz was going to get that team on track. And what he's saying right now, we can start that golden era, especially if baseball, softball can have the kind of special seasons we're thinking of, if these guys can continue, and then football carry the torch. Come on.
Well, football should have been a team like that. But, you got to get some coaches that can. And I'm not talking about Jimbo. You need to get a coaching staff that's actually coaching.
Yeah, 100. By the way, Tennyson Tipton says it's at least 6 beers.
I think there's been something lost in translation between Old Army and New Army. They only sell pitchers that, like at Aggieland Outfitters and everywhere, they only sell them that fit 4 beers. So I don't know how you're dunking with 6 beers.
Wait. So the pitchers that you have, that you guys are doing it, are smaller than what my generation did?
I mean, that's the only pitcher.
So you're playing in a Little League ballpark.
That's the only pitcher we have the option to buy.
Yeah, I will back Luke up on this.
So the time shouldn't be the same.
Wait. someone tells you how big your pitcher's supposed to
I
be?
can only fit so many beers inside of it. It's the pitcher everybody buys. Everyone buys the same one.
I remember our pitchers being like the ones you get at Pizza Hut that were huge back in the 80s.
Yeah, I used to. I think I've told you this back. The plastic pitcher from Pizza. We used to fill about 3/4 of the way, and I would chug it without touching it with my hands. That was my big party.
Can we do that?
I can't do that anymore.
Come on, let's just try it once.
First of all, you got to have I can't do it anymore.
Wow. So
but that was like the big party trick or party favor or whatever that would do.
So basically, Luke is Barry Bonds playing in a Little League park when he drinks the beer.
I think he's more like Mary Bonds.
That was good.
Let's try to get another one in.
Absolutely. So we've got Aggie women's golf traveling to Bel Air, Florida for the 2024 SEC Championship starting this Friday. They're looking to defend their title. If you remember, they played that absolutely electric playoff with Mississippi State to win the title last year. And we're going to have Coach Chadwell in studio breaking it all down and previewing it a little bit more.
Yep. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, sir. We're going to come back and do our performance of the week. You got some candidates, OB?
Well, we talked about some of them yesterday, but yeah.
All right. We'll get into that. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. That is the company that makes documentary films about families. So if you want to talk about Luke's ring dunk with a little 8-ounce thing of water, you can certainly tell that story. You can have an eye in the sky. Chance could be there filming a ring dunk. For all of you listening right now, for the future as a sophomores and freshmen and parents listening, you should have Chance come do the ring dunk and have the whole story told and talk about your generation did it and this generation does it with 5 ounces of beer. It'd be a great story to tell, and you can keep that story forever because that's what Chance does. He does these documentary films that are going to be passed down from generation to generation. So your grandfather's story, your dad's story, whatever the story may be, the next generation will be able to tell it with the same kind of clarity because you're going to see you talking about it there on a Heritage Film. There's also an option for the Year Flicks, which is a 20-minute video. And these videos are more for the youngers, right? So freshman year of college, sophomore year, junior, benchmark videos, 20-minute versions telling their life story right there. Q&A quick. They're awesome. And you'll certainly want to have the 4 chapters told. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. The phone number for Heritage Films, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. It's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse of CC Creations. OB, we try to deliver for the people a football-heavy show.
We
do. Right? Football's always on the map. Yet, we had a 22-minute segment on football, or we did a little UConn at the top. Yet every text message is about the way these kids do the ring dunk now. And I think most people are offended at the 2.5 pitchers that these kids are drinking, or 2.5 beers.
Yeah, I actually know some women that dunked their ring and drank full pitchers.
Yeah. Did pitchers get smaller is my question. Now, apparently, according to Luke, this is the size. But I remember them being huge.
I did get confirmation. It's 5 regular sized beers and 4 taller ones. I was pouring with taller ones, so it's not 4. It is 5.
So the pitcher sizes haven't changed because a pitcher's usually 60 ounces.
Yeah.
Right?
I've never known how the ounces.
Well, I do.
I just know it was a full.
I'm team ounce and grams.
You are.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we got that too. There's some text messages about that. Let's do our performance of the week, and OB, I'm going to let you do the very first one.
Look, we always focus, rightly so, on pitchers, and if they have a really great game, and there was one, actually there was 3 that you could mention from last weekend, and we always focus on guys who do a great job at the plate, and there's certainly somebody that's going to come out there, but I'm still going to go with the guy that I was so impressed with, and that was that game Saturday with Caden Sorrell in left field.
Oh, the catch.
Not only the catch.
The next inning,
gunning a guy out trying to turn a single into a double. And those were, first of all, you took a run off the board for South Carolina, but then, you might have prevented one because they would have had a guy in scoring position if he doesn't make that great throw. So, Caden Sorrell, I know the hitting wasn't great for you this week, but what you did with your glove, you impacted the game.
I'm going to go Ryan Prager. Low-hanging fruit. Why not? 6-0, tossing 6.1 innings, 2-run baseball, 12 strikeouts in that game. He's only given up 4 hits he only gave up 4 hits on the night, and it's did not allow a walk for the 4th time this season. Pitching like an ace into, 32 games into the season. I mean, this is who they are. As Bronny was saying, and he was right. It's okay to feel good about this team, and it's okay to feel good about your ace.
Yeah, why not? Well, I don't know why you wouldn't feel good about the job that he's done. He's been spectacular this year.
Luke, give us a little track and field spice for
Absolutely. We just talked about the men and women being ranked inside the top 3 with both. Well, that's thanks to Tamara Chapman and Lamara Diston, both recording nation-leading marks in their respective events, the heptathlon and the high jump. And that was on the final day of the 44 Farms Team Invitational on Saturday at Cushing Stadium right here at Texas A&M. So a lot of great events going on, and Texas A&M track and field is hot right now.
Yeah, I wonder what Tamara do today. I get to the way he says her name. It sounds like he's saying tomorrow.
I wish we had an OB cam where you could just watch your eyes as these opportunities present themselves.
I just like to look at Luke and his reaction because Luke is actually very skilled at making really bad lines.
I learned from the best. Thank you.
So sometimes he appreciates them, and sometimes he's like, "Oh my God!"
Here we go. Nick Savage, you haven't done a performance of the week. Give us one.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So.
Oh wow. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. I respect Old Army, unlike Luke. But anyways, Aggie softball rolled through another SEC opponent, taking 2 of 3 from Kentucky. You can't mention a performance of the week without mentioning Emily Kennedy. 14 1/3 innings pitched, only gave up 2 earned runs, 13 Ks to 3 walks. Kramer Eshte had a good weekend as well. 3 for 8, scored a couple runs, went yard one time, I believe, for her first home run of the year, as well as Jasmine Hill. She batted .625 on the weekend, going 5 for 8 there, a double and a triple, 3 RBIs, scored 2 runs and 3 walks. So love what Trisha Ford's doing over there at Davis Diamond, and they're just like Aggie baseball, man. That SEC slate doesn't get any easier for them, but I have a good, like you just said, David, this might be who they are. Yeah,
it might be. And I'm stealing that from Bronny because he was the one talking baseball from that perspective. I'm going to do an NBA one. I know, OB, you watch all the NBA, every second of it. I was actually interested in this Mavs-Rockets game over the weekend. Did you see that game?
I knew about it because, as you know, my young son is a huge Mavericks fan.
So, as you know, I'm a big Mavericks fan, and I'm a Rockets fan, which is not allowed, but I think I'm allowed.
Okay.
Because I worked for both organizations.
Well, it's still, for now, a free country, so you can do
I'm
what you
allowed
want.
to, right? And Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving were awesome. They were down 22 points. These guys came back, and they're not the ones who forced overtime, but they were fantastic. They combined for 85 points in that comeback. The Mavs win, eliminate the Rockets from playoff contention. The Rockets were one of the hottest teams in basketball. The Mavs are, if not the hottest team in basketball, they're up there.
Yeah, I think they actually won something like 10 of 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one they lost, I think my son was telling me they kind of blew that one. Against Golden State.
Yeah, against Golden State. They did blow that. I love watching Luka play. He's one of my favorite players out there. Real Madrid legend, by the way. That being said, fun. He makes it fun.
Is it just Dallas Mavericks policy that you have to have a big white European leading your team?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's good. And it's been, 25 years of it?
Yeah, I think so.
Dirk came in 98.
And another 10 at least, I would think. So
we would hope. And look, the NBA, I haven't really looked at the standings. I know the Mavs are in the middle of it all, but
and somebody might say, well, why do you want to say big white European? Well, Giannis is at he's European,
Milwaukee.
right? He's at Milwaukee, but so it's got to differentiate. The Mavericks, though, Nowitzki and then Doncic, man, they've been very fortunate. Europe's been very good to the Mavericks.
They made a huge mistake in 2004
with Wang Zhizhi.
Well, that was a mistake. Yeah, no, they made a huge mistake allowing Steve Nash to go.
Yeah,
and bringing in Eric Dampier.
Yeah,
even though that's what they needed. They needed a big man. 20 years ago. Gosh, why am I talking about 20 years? But that was
Mississippi
a big mistake.
State, Eric Dampier.
Yeah. All right. So On Three has the top quarterbacks in college football. I kind of wanted to go through these and get your take on it, if you don't mind.
Okay, I haven't been in full football mode yet.
So this is helping. This is prep. This is right. This is other shows' show prep, and this is for us our season prep. It has On Three has Carson Beck as your number one quarterback in college football.
I would be skeptical of that.
Excuse me. This is ESPN. On Three did the article on ESPN's top 10.
I would be skeptical.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him as my number one.
Yeah, he's good, but let's see how good he is without Brock Bowers and McConkey.
Number 2, Dylan Gabriel at Oregon.
Yeah, I'm not buying.
I'm not buying it either. Number 3, Quinn Ewers.
I might buy that.
I might buy that at 3, not at 1.
Well, I'm not buying the other 2.
Well, let's see who else is on the list. Number 4, Jalen Milroe.
He's a good quarterback. Yeah, he's probably, because people get messed up in thinking being the best quarterback means you're the best passer.
Mm-hmm.
A good quarterback just moves his team, and Jalen Milroe moves his team.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see what his numbers look like with Kalen DeBoer as his head coach. We may look at him different. We may look at him Michael Penix style. You never know.
Okay.
OB's like, nah, I'm not going to agree with you there. Noah, how do you say his last name? Fafita at Arizona, their quarterback? Noah Fafita.
Oh, I remember him, but I can't say I watched a lot of them. So if they say so, it's okay.
3,000 yards passing, basically, 25 touchdowns. He did not play in every game, only threw 6 interceptions.
Sounds like what you should see from Connor Wickman.
Number 6, Jackson Dart. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Number 7, Jalen Daniels, Kansas.
Oh, yeah, he's good when he's healthy.
Really good when he's.
In fact, he may be much better than some of the ones we've heard.
Number 8,
healthy.
Shedeur Sanders.
Here's the problem with, are the numbers there? Yeah, but who didn't have numbers in the Pac-12 as a quarterback last year?
Right.
Because all the pass defenses were terrible.
They were terrible.
But, okay, Shedeur, okay.
Number 9, Cam Rising. Did not play a single down last year. And I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, he's been hurt for a while.
They kind of, he was supposed to, they were like, it was unknown. Who did they open up the season with? It was
Florida.
Florida. And he was maybe going to play in that game. It was fake, obviously, because he missed the whole season. Cam Rising, number 9.
Yep. Again, if he's healthy, he's good. He's really good.
And then now he's with Miami, but Washington State, former quarterback, not Miami, Cam Ward.
Same thing. Maybe. And it's not like he's going and facing a whole bunch of really tough defenses now, but everybody in the Pac-12, all the quarterbacks put up huge numbers.
You know what this says to me? Connor Wigman might be in your top 5 next year.
Absolutely.
In the country.
You just got to keep him healthy.
Keep him healthy because, look, Dylan Gabriel at Oregon is going to put up some numbers. A quarterbacks go to Oregon, he's going to put up some numbers. So maybe they're projecting what that's going to look like. That's why he's at number 2. I like Carson Beck. I don't think of him as the best quarterback in college football. I don't. I just don't.
I don't either.
Quinn Ewers played pretty well last year. It's going to.
In fact, they would have won their playoff game had their genius coach just ran the ball more.
He's got Isaiah Bond, Amari Nickback, Silas Bolden from Oregon State.
Yeah, his receivers aren't as good this year as they were last year.
Yeah.
There's somebody else out there.
Who would you put at 1 then? Would you put Quinn at number 1 from this list?
Probably.
A healthy Cam Rising?
A healthy quarterback from Kansas might be.
Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels. But the Oklahoma people will tell you that Jackson Arnold's better than Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah. I might put Jalen Milroe in my top 3 on this list.
Why not?
And I feel
he moves his team.
He does move his team.
Once they figured out how to use him, he moved his team. And he looked like a golden arm against A&M.
And maybe I'm not giving Carson Beck enough stats or enough props because his 23 stats are pretty good. Almost threw for 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 6 picks.
I don't think his offensive line is going to be as good this year, and he's not going to have Brock Bowers, and he's not going to have McConkey.
Yep. And then I just haven't watched Noah Fafita enough to know what he is.
Yeah.
But he has some really good numbers.
No fajitas.
No fajitas for fajita. Jackson Dart, as I mentioned, Jalen Daniels 7, Shadur Sanders 8, and Cam Rising 9, and Cam Ward 10. I'm telling you, I think if Cam Rising is healthy, he's in your top 5.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with some final thoughts during the Go Hour. Right now, the future of medicine is at QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we have seen in decades. It's called regenerative medicine. So if you're tired of achy joints, and I know many of you are, you need to reach out to QC Kinetics right now. If your joint pain's keeping you from doing what you love to do, what you enjoy doing, then you need to call QC Kinetics now because surgery, steroids, and drugs are no longer your best options. In fact, move those away. Swipe left, if you will. Is that the right way to swipe?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not going to go there. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics, transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. So we're talking about natural biologics using your own body's power to repair and restore that damaged tissue. And Dr. Mitchell Shinecup is leading the way for them. He is a national medical director, and he's a pioneer in that field with 20 years of clinical work in research. He wants to get you to moving once again, and you want to do it with a needle, not a knife out there. Call QC Kinetics right now to feel better and get some exciting options presented to you. The phone number for them, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. So on the program, we're going to have Reid Ryan, president of Ryan Sanders. They'll be on the show, and he'll be on the show. They won't be. He'll be on at 9 o'clock. He's got ties to A&M. We'll discuss. His daughters have gone. One goes and one graduated, I believe. So we'll talk to Reid about that. Gerrod Chadwell will be in studio, talk a little women's golf. Layden Robinson on the program. So I haven't talked to Layden in a minute, so it'll be good to catch up with him and his NFL draft preps. Tom Hart will join us, as he always does, at 10 o'clock. And Charean Williams later on in the program. I believe she's in Augusta. Don't quote me on that. I believe she is. I believe that's what she said in text.
Playing golf?
Watching golf.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll chit-chat with Charean and whatnot. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Got some text messages. I'm sure a lot about football, about coaching searches. What do we got there, Luke?
Yeah, we're going to just start. I'll get to all the football ones later, but we're going to start with the ring dunk one. Jared in Waco, class of 1995, says he still has his picture, and both of his girls, class of 2020 and class of 2025, did their ring dunk in the same picture.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool story. There's more to that text, right?
Don't make excuses, find a real picture. I didn't want to read that.
I think it was a good line. What else we got?
Tayag and Taylor said he's class of 91, and his buddies went to the Chicken for their ring dunk, along with a lot of other Ags doing the same for him and another friend's ring dunk. We didn't have all the pomp and the circumstance of today's ring day, but dunking has been around since before he got there. And I just want to say I would go to the Chicken, but I believe that the Dixie Chicken does not allow people to dunk their ring there anymore. So we got a new Army has to make do with what they have and put on these ring dunks. So don't shoot the messenger about that.
I would open up, if I could afford it, right? I'd open up a bar and I'd say
the dunk,
right? The ring dunk. Yeah. And I would advertise, hey, come dunk your ring here.
We'll go to jail for you.
We'll give you a ride home.
Oh, yeah.
That's a genius plan, except you'd probably only be busy twice a year.
Well, there's other times we would still be surfing.
Class of 44, we're going to renew your ring dunk.
But
can you imagine? That'd be awesome.
Wait, that's actually a great idea.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Let's do that.
Dunks.
And invite 90-year-old people to redo the dunks.
Yeah.
You ever seen a 90-year-old man do a keg stand?
No.
Me either. That'd be awesome, though. What else, Luke?
PG Ag and King Oaks, just, hitting the nail on the head. Decarbonated beer is one more sign that new Army is soft. So thank you for
that. Does it still taste good?
It tastes like beer. It's just without the carbonation.
Oh, okay. Flat beer.
Yeah. I'll pass. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't like anything flat, like the soda.
Flat tires.
But definitely don't like flat tire.
Don't like those at all.
I like fat tire.
The drink? The very thick beer?
Yeah. I've had that once and I liked it.
One time only in your life?
I don't drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. I think the last time I had a flat tire, 1999. That's my guess. Obi, thank you, sir.
I thought you had a flat tire just recently.
Oh, I did. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Reid Ryan on the program. We'll chit-chat. We'll probably talk some Aggie baseball with him, too. I'm sure he's aware of Schloss's awesomeness. We'll talk about that and get to your text messages. And, of course, Layden Robinson, Gerrod Chadwell, all that and more. It's TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm excited about our next guest. He is the CEO of Ryan Sanders Sports and Entertainment. Before that, he was president of the Astros. We remember great times there. Played at TCU, drafted by the Texas Rangers. He's got some great ties to Texas A&M. Our guest is Reid Ryan here on the hotline. Reid, it's been a minute, sir. How you been?
Hey, David. How you doing, buddy?
It's been a long time, man. Happy to hear you on the phone. How are things going?
You know, they are going well. Since I left the Astros, we've been real busy. Our club, obviously, in Round Rock, went back to the Texas Rangers and, won the World Series last year. We had a lot of players on that club, and that was super exciting for us. And then about a year ago, our family and some folks in San Antonio bought the Missions, which is the Padres AA team. And we're working on a new stadium deal down in San Antonio, and know a lot of folks in the Padres organization. So, yeah, it's been going great.
Well, that is fantastic news. I have to brag about you. Always so accommodating, always so nice. You just were very easy to talk to, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. So I always enjoy talking to you, Reid.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's sports is a very small world, and whether, it was when our family was in the Rangers ownership group or we were, working in the Texas League, really it's the same folks that you're running into, and it's baseball fans, and you're there to entertain them, and, you better love the profession that you're in, and, our family has for a long time, so we like what we do.
Reid, is it true? I got some notes to prepare for this, that your dad considered going to Texas A&M, but then was kind of urged to maybe think about another route beforehand?
Oh, yeah, it's one of the best stories around. So my dad grew up wanting to go to Texas A&M, and Tom Chandler was the coach back then. Came and saw him pitch, and you got to remember, there wasn't a video, there wasn't radar guns, there wasn't all that stuff. So you never really know. You catch a kid on a bad day. And he told my dad, he said, look, son, I don't think you're good enough to play at A&M. I think you need to go to junior college for a couple of years and then, give me a call back. And next year he was pitching in the major leagues for the New York Mets, and the rest is history.
Oh, I love that story. I mean, I don't love it. It could have been so different here, but that's a great story. And your daughters have ties to A&M, is that right?
Oh man, we're complete walk-on Aggies now. Victoria Ryan is graduating in May out of the Mays Business School, and then Ella Ryan is a freshman in Mays Business School. So I've got two of them over there. A lot of folks may see them around the intramural fields. In fact, Victoria texted me this morning and said they lost in the co-ed basketball championship last night. So she's going to go out without a T-shirt in her final run. But, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Great school. And obviously we've loved the friends and the education, the people. It's funny because as a player, Texas A&M was always one of the hardest places to play because fans are so great. And you grow up with these rivalries. But then when you have kids, you want them to go to places that have those traditions and do those things. And so it's just been an awesome fit for my girls.
Well, and for you, as somebody who went to TCU, do you kind of find yourself like digging the history here and kind of feeling a part of it?
Well, I got recruited by A&M, and I tell folks Mark Johnson was, way too honest with me. He was like, look, we'd love to have you come. You're probably not going to pitch much your first year. Second year, you'll start to get in, and by your junior year, you'll probably, be a solid contributor on the club. And I actually went to the University of Texas first. Gus was like, hey, come on in. You're going to start right away. And I bid it hook, line, and sinker. And after 1 year at UT, I only played in 5 games. I ended up transferring to TCU because of a coach named Lance Brown who had been at Rice and threw batting practice for the Astros back in the day. And so I ended up at TCU really sort of, on an accident, and ended up obviously working out extremely well for me. We won the Southwest Conference. I met my wife there. A lot of, great things have happened to me because of my relationship with TCU. But I always had, liked A&M and grew up going to the games. And, it was just one of those things. It's recruiting and where guys end up and where they end up prospering is always funny business for sure.
want to go back to your family overall. You talk about your daughter and the championship game, potentially winning it, not getting the T-shirt. How competitive of a family are the Ryans? I can only imagine, but just take me through some of these stories.
Well, so my wife, Nicole, played basketball at TCU. That's where I met her. She was starting point guard. And so my girls always played sports growing up. Victoria was a really good basketball player, had a chance to play in college, a couple small places. My son, Jackson, played baseball at Mary Hardin Baylor. And then Ella, my youngest, she was really good as well, but just always wanted to go to school. And so the intramural scene at A&M has been great for them. I think they've won flag football a couple times, and they've won basketball a couple times over the years. And it's great, and they love the tradition. But, yeah, when we get together, now it seems to be pickleball, which everybody's playing. It used to be basketball in the backyard. It's always competitive. It's always fun. And if you throw my mom in the mix, she's 75, but, man, she's still mad at it. And, she's going to do her best to beat you. So good fun when the Ryans all get together for sure.
It's interesting when your dad threw his last no-hitter. I remember watching that game and thinking, wow, what an older player. I'm older than your dad at that time. You are as well. And looking back at some of those videos, how fit he was. And he's still fit.
Well, yeah, my dad had so many great lessons that I've used throughout my professional career that, I learned from watching him. And he used to always say, Reid, look, I've been blessed with an incredible arm, but it's my job to be in the very best shape I can be in. And he came into the major leagues. He played 27 years in the majors. It's hard to believe. As a 19-year-old, when they wore wool uniforms and played the World Series all during the day and, didn't have a designated hitter. He came all the way through having the designated hitter, going into, ending his career in the steroid era, seeing, 2 leagues and multiple rounds of playoffs and everything you'd see over 27 years. And he just said, look, every year that I can play, I'm making more money than my parents made in a lifetime. And I owe it to myself and my God-given abilities to live up to the best of my talent. And he really, I think, could have continued to play longer because he was still throwing hard, but he got to the point where he couldn't get his body prepared to make a start every 5 days. And at that point, the recovery time was just too long for him. And with the strike looming in '94, he just said, look, it's time to hang it up. But what a run, man. Longest in baseball history.
An amazing run, and still that documentary that you can watch on Netflix is so good. Let's talk a little bit about when you played at TCU and played at Texas A&M. Any cool memories from those days?
Oh, yeah, have quite a few. So we ended up in '94. We won the Southwest Conference and clinched it at A&M in a game I started. I got vultured, so I didn't get the win, and actually A&M was the only team I never got a win against. But we did win the game, and so that was super fun to celebrate in the locker room. One of my other fun memories, it was always a tough place to pitch, and people really enjoyed giving me the business for a lot of various reasons. But the best memory was probably when my brother played at TCU, and my dad was one of the grad assistants. And that's kind of a long story, but, he was helping out with the club, so they made him sit in the dugout. And he had a purple sweat top on, and he went out to talk to my brother, and he said the fans were chanting Barney. And he got out to the mound, he's like, what are they saying? Who's Barney? And my brother goes, man, it's an old purple dinosaur. And my dad was like, God damn it, go get him, boy. We can't show up at Olsen Field. But, what's really cool is Mr. Olsen was a friend of ours, and he used to come down every year, watch my dad pitch, and then he would take our family out to dinner in Houston, and we would come up and go to football games. And he was just an incredible man. And, I think that connection was one that would have been really fun to have had I gone to A&M. But, when you're young, you're impressionable, and sometimes you fall for a recruiting pitch here or there. And, it didn't work out for me, but it worked out for my girls, and it's been great.
Reid, what attracted you to minor league baseball? And if I remember history correctly, like you were part of the resurgence of making it cool again.
So I had never been to a minor league baseball game. I literally grew up in the big leagues, between Houston and Arlington and traveling on the road. And when I signed, I went to the New York Penn League in 1994. Had never been to a minor league baseball game. And I just, really fell in love with the proximity of the fans, the intimacy of the game, the stories of the players and where they came from, and everybody, trying to live out their dream on the field. And so I asked myself, I'm like, why are there not more of these teams in Texas? And forever there had been, one in El Paso, one in Midland, and, at times one in Beaumont and maybe one in Amarillo, but nowhere else. And so when the Rangers said, thank you, we don't need you to play for us anymore, I realized I needed to do something with the rest of my life. And so I set out to find out what it would take to bring more minor league baseball teams to Texas. And what we did in Round Rock with the Dell Diamond that opened in 2000, and we started it in 98, really has changed the game of minor league baseball. We built the first ever major league stadium on a minor league scale. And, 25 years later, it's still considered one of the best in the business. I'm really proud of that. And then, obviously out of that came Corpus Christi, and then Midland got a new stadium, and, Frisco and Sugar Land and Amarillo got a new stadium, and El Paso got a new stadium, and it's just really blossomed across the country. And so really cool to be a part of that today.
You're also the CEO of RS3 Turfing Company, and I believe you all did the Kyle Fields turf at one point?
We did. We replaced Kyle Field last year. We were very honored to have that job. This is a company that we have had 25 years, and we're really a high-end boutique artificial and natural grass installer. And so, we were honored to do that. It was really cool. We used Carolina Green, which is a top-notch, grass out of North Carolina. Came in on refrigerated trucks, and our crew came in, took out the old stuff, put down the new stuff. And obviously it's just, one of the best fields in college football. Recently we did Rice. We put in an artificial field at Rice. If you've been down there, it's super neat. In College Station, we did Allen Academy.
Yeah.
If you've ever been over there, their football field. And we're actually getting ready to start UT's practice fields next week. So we're going to be taking those out and putting in new turf, new grass there as well. So working all around the country, and we pride ourselves on being very high touch and doing good projects.
Well, you started at Texas. Why did you end up transferring to Texas Christian, TCU?
You got to play if you want to get better. And you think about all the talent, at the time, A&M had 3 first-round draft picks, Kelly Wunsch and Jeff Granger and Trey Moore, were there. If you're a kid that wants to get innings and you're sitting behind them, you can just do the math. And it was kind of the same way at Texas. We had quite a few good guys. As friends, Brooks Kieschnick was a 2-time Golden Spikes player. He was on the club. There were some other really talented guys. And you got to go somewhere that you can pitch if you want to get better. And I wanted to get drafted. And so I trusted Lance Brown. He had been the pitching coach at Rice. TCU had the worst field in the country at the time. It was terrible. But I went up there, and then I got to work out with Tom House, who was my dad's pitching coach, and Lance, and, ended up being all-conference, and we won it and, got drafted, and everything I had set out to achieve happened. And so it was really the right decision for me, and ended up loving Fort Worth. It's a great town, a lot of fun, and, it just all worked out.
Reid, with your time at TCU and obviously paying attention to what their baseball programs have been able to do, have you paid attention to Jim Schlossnagle and what he's been able to do here at A&M?
Oh, yeah. So Schloss is a buddy, and he's crushed it. I've always believed he's one of the best recruiters in the country, and it comes down to talent. And, you look this year, I think, what they lost Sunday, but they're still ranked 3rd. I guess something will be coming out, today or maybe yesterday on the rankings. But he's always going to have top talent. And, that's the key in this game. You got to have the players. And then obviously you look at his track record of winning games and getting the College World Series, and where his assistant coaches have come in and ended up going off to be head coaches, whether it's at, U of H or West Virginia or wherever. So Sloth's the real deal. And look, it was a blow to TCU to lose him, but everything has its season. And I think his opportunity to go to the SEC and compete there was, the challenge he was looking for in his life. And I'm happy for him on that. And, obviously he's delivered results. So that's, really good for him and good for the Aggies. As far as TCU goes, I was happy to, see Kirk get the call as the head coach. Had a pretty good run last year. They've really struggled offensively this year. They've had really good pitching, but just cannot score runs. And so, they're really in jeopardy of even making the postseason at this point. And so, I think that's the challenge is when you get in that seat and you get your guys for the first time, who do you end up bringing in? And I think that's the thing Aggie fans can feel good about is you look at what Schlossnagle's done. Now he's been there 4 years now. I'm trying to, COVID sometimes gets us messed up, but, he's been able to do it and he's doing it again. And so I think the program's in great hands.
Reid, I want to close out with Jackson that you brought up earlier, just about his amazing story, his year at UHMB. Just talk to us a little bit about his path and how that all came together.
Yeah, no, I'm really proud of Jackson. So my son was born with cerebral palsy, and it affects the right side of his body. So, his right hand, he doesn't have fine motor skills. He's got gross motor skills. And, it affected, obviously, his balance. And so, really when it comes down to needing two hands, about one of the only sports you can play is baseball and be a pitcher. And so he would do like Jim Abbott, where he would have a glove and he would put it underneath his arm when he pitched. And, he was just a grinder, man. He practiced, and, couldn't really transfer weight like you would probably want. So he wasn't a hard thrower, but he had a ton of movement and threw strikes. And, Mary Hardin-Baylor gave him an opportunity to go play. And, his freshman year, he got in and did well in a couple of games. And, man, we just couldn't be more proud of him. And then, COVID hit, and he started scouting and working in baseball and hung it up as a player. But what he achieved, I tell him all the time, he's the most incredible athlete in our family to be able to do what he's done. And so makes us proud every day. And now he's handling, community relations and team relations with the Express. He had to go to the airport yesterday in the midst of all of the eclipse craziness and pick up the Oklahoma City club. The Dodgers were in town. And so he handles a lot of our team logistics, and it's great to have that player's perspective when you're dealing with coaches and players, especially at the AAA level. So we're blessed to have him over here.
Reid, I always enjoy our interactions and our time together. Thank you so much for making a few minutes for us, and let's connect at some point soon, all right?
All right, David. Appreciate it, man. And tell Tom Hart I said hello. Proud of his career. He interviewed for our job with the Astros, and if he didn't have such a up-and-coming career with ESPN, there's a good chance you'd see him in the booth right now instead of Todd Callis. They're both that good of broadcasters, so I'm happy for all the success he's had.
I did not know that story. That is awesome. I'll certainly bring it up. Thank you, Reid. Appreciate you, sir.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Later,
Bye-bye.
man. Reid Ryan there on the hotline. Wow, what cool stuff there. Really enjoyed that combo. We'll hit a break. We'll talk to Gerrod Chadwell when we come back, women's golf. Right now, though, Troubadour Festival time. It is a Texas barbecue and music experience. You put them both together, you get the Troubadour Festival. They'll be at Aggie Park again, second straight year, May 18th, Saturday, May 18th. And this year's event is even bigger and better. They got some great acts out there. They're bringing together 35 of the best barbecue joints in Texas for you to indulge in unlimited samples of their incredible smoke creations. And you can't forget about the music. There's live country music on 2 stages all day. And this year's headliner is going to be the country music icon, Travis Tritt. He'll be joined by Texas country legend Pat Green, as well as William Clark Green, the Red Clay Strays, the Cameron Sackey Band, and much, much more out there. Whether you want to experience the barbecue and the concert or just the concert itself, there is a ticket for you, and they're on sale right now at troubadourfestival.com. That is troubadourfestival.com. Go get your tickets right now. We'll see you at Aggie Park on Saturday, May the 18th. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Gerrod Chadwell in studio. The song you can't hear is Drop It Like It's Hot. And my friend, this getup, you're dropping it like it's hot. We got the Masters shirt on. It looks good.
I feel like it's quite the array of songs leading into my segment every year. Like we go George Strait, I think, one time.
We've had George Strait for sure.
And now we've gone to Drop It Like It's Hot.
Yep, little Snoop Dogg in the background. Next week, Mozart.
Can't relate to that. 97 on the way to school, I might have been listening to some Snoop Dogg. Probably not George Strait.
Not, you know?
No.
That's going to be cool across the street, though, when they come, though.
It will be epic.
It's good for the university, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good for, I want to see Parker in concert.
Yeah. So were you not a country fan growing up?
Like growing up in Oklahoma, like country music was still popular, but you go through phases in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I got in trouble when I first started at TexAgs 3 years ago, not listening to that much country.
I had my rap phase, I had my rock phase, and now I'm into my country phase.
Your country phase?
I'm country phase. I'm an old man, as the girls would say.
So how was this past weekend?
Oh my gosh, it's just a special week, special place, special week, special people. What can you say? Was just
they were in Augusta, by the way.
Yeah, just to have that kind of representation on the biggest stage, maybe in women's golf. No disrespect to professional tournaments, but to have three Aggies in the field is just amazing.
Well, let's talk a little bit about it. Maybe start off with Kata.
Kata had a good week. She played well at the first. For those who don't know, the first 2 days they played at a place called Champions Retreat, which is a very tough golf course, and the wind was blowing 20 to 30 both days, and so it made it even harder. She played really good, then got to Augusta for the Saturday's round, and didn't get off to a great start, but then birdied 7 and 8 and missed a short birdie putt on 9 to really keep things going. So I feel like that kind of let the wind out of her sails, and played okay on the backside, made a bad swing on 6, hit it in the water, made a bogey, and then that was just kind of just sailed it in from there. But still just a freshman, and round of a 20th place finish at Augusta was really good. Jenny played really good, missed the cut by 1 to go play Augusta on Saturday, and probably didn't have her best, but really managed it well and played good golf. And then Haley had a lot of coverage for the week. Just played a great round, shot 1 under par on the second round, which I think there's maybe two scores under par for 70 golfers, and didn't play that well at Augusta. I think just that was her first time there, but once again, just amazing showing by the program.
Not to make this about me, but like I feel like it's good when my kids go into environments that are not necessarily maybe they're not ready for, because the more you see it. The more you do become accustomed to it, and then a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it's a different result.
For sure, and I think you would probably could say that you saw that with Kata and Jenny, just that wasn't their first time, and just the awe of everything. And that was for Haley. I think Haley's played in the U.S. Open, but that might have been the most people she's ever played in front of. I mean, there were thousands of people there. It was like a normal Masters Day, the way they're ticketing that. So it just special. So special.
How cool is it for the program, though, to have that, a couple years in a row being there front and forward?
Yeah, it's the same thing again as just last year. And just to see, I was able to walk and watch all of Kata's round on Saturday, and just the amount of Aggies that were there to watch her, that had maybe gotten their tickets or in hopes, anticipation to being somebody there, just maybe it's their first time to go around Augusta, just to be able to talk with them and about what the program's doing, and their reaction was the same as mine. It's just awesome to have that representation there.
How do they respond to that, like being in an environment that's not Texas, right? And just seeing Maroon out there and whoop and all those kind of things.
Everybody's asking what the whoop was after a putt, and I was like, it's just an Aggie thing. And it was ran into an older gentleman that it was his first time there with his son, and that man, it's just it's just a special place, and it's in a category of its own. They don't do anything out of place. Everything they do for the young ladies that week is first class, and it was just really cool to be a part of that with our young ladies.
Can you take us through the process, how you qualify for Augusta?
Yeah, normally it's based on, the cutoff is December 31st, and it's really based off your world ranking. So summer tournaments, college tournaments, it's probably very hard for, Katza getting there last year as a junior golfer is very impressive. It's really hard to get there through junior golf because their tournaments aren't weighted as much as college golf and maybe high amateur golf is. So you don't see a ton of juniors there. You see more maybe college kids or amateurs. But this year just happened to be 36 Americans, 36 internationals. And I don't know if that's how they did it based off of your ranking. Like, we're going to take the highest ranked 36 Americans, and then we'll take the highest ranked 36 international players. And it comprises of a field of 72 players. And, that'll restart. This year it's already restarted for next year. So you can move up pretty quick in college golf. Adela's knocking on the door. If Adela continues to play anywhere remotely like she has been, I think Adela will be there next year. So that'll be a lot of fun too to see her go through that for her first time. What do athletes think about in that situation, knowing I'm close? If I keep playing like this, I know where I'm going to be a year from now. It's different. I see. Once again, I think it's a matter of who you are as a person and what you're training for. If that's the goal, then that's the goal. If you stumble upon it, I think, oh man, you might start to back up a little bit. But you'll see people start showing up on Palmer Cup watch lists. The girls know. They know what it takes to get into places. Now there's exemptions into the US AM. I think it's the top 50 ranked amateur golfers get into the US Women's AM. So they now know what's at stake. So hopefully that's what they're working towards, and when they get the opportunity, they seize it. Is the timing good with the SEC championships coming up? Hard. It's hard because we're trying to, as a conference, there's certain coaches that are trying to get to push the SEC championship later. It squeezes us. ANWA takes up almost 2 weeks. It's a week for the tournament, and anything on the front end or the back end is going to be tough for your kids to focus. And if they're coming off that week, they're pretty worn out. But our first tournament of the spring was the first weekend of February, and that's just tough sledding because everybody's coming out of tough weather. But you're forced to start that early, and then go all the way to Memorial Weekend for your national championship. So we're trying to buy some time in between Augusta and SECs where people could go play a tournament. And maybe you start mid-February, but it's tough timing. But you're not going to win the battle over Augusta on when they want to have a tournament. No, of course not. But I can just imagine the grind that it is for everybody involved. And it's 2 weeks before we start SECs? We leave tomorrow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And you got, we used to play in the event out at Napa, Silverado. And we couldn't this year because the final round at Napa is tomorrow, and we were flying to SEC. So the front end of it, you're playing you got to schedule something pretty close to right up to it. There's a lot of great events. Like Clemson, the tournament we just played in, is moving their dates right up to Augusta. So you could drive there instead of flying home, flying back. So that's what we're really in the middle of right now, trying to finish out our schedule for next spring, is how do we balance all that. But it's a great problem to have. I'd much rather girls be having that experience and we figure out the other side of it than sitting there watching on TV and not have anybody there. Not to be a broken record, but there's a lot of really good teams in the SEC. There's a lot of really good teams. And you want to be at your best. And your best players are going to be at Augusta. Yeah. So you want them to be their freshest. So there's a trade-off in there somewhere, and we'll figure that out. Like I said, if we continue to have representation there, it's going to be a good problem to have. Tell me if this is fair. Like, you want them to be as sharp as possible, which means you have to be as sharp and as mentally focused as possible. And I know but there is a grind that's involved in what you do. Big time. And it's, we don't and I would say them too, we don't, as a sport, we don't have a recruiting calendar, which most people do. So we're literally we can go on the road 350 days a year. So we come off of summer recruiting right into kids showing up. And then we go all the way to off season, and we have a month we work with them. Then we go into the holidays where we have coaches meetings and everything else. And then Martin Luther King shows up and the kids are reporting back. Right. And then we go all the way to Memorial Weekend, and then we start summer and camp and everything else. So it's a grind. I think we've learned through the runs that we've been on the past couple years how to balance that, of trying to find a break in March where we can almost split the spring into 2 seasons. Because I saw the first year that we were here, we ran out of gas at the national championship. And that's okay. It's a great way to learn. But that's what we're trying to do now, is balance all this stuff that these young ladies are having. We had young ladies go to Dubai for the World Am in the fall, and we played without them. So all great problems. We're still learning, but you're trying to be your freshest and most well-rested at this time of year. Feel pretty good at where you are right now? I do. I think we haven't seen our best yet. I think we've got a matured enough team that knows what our best looks like, and we go play our best, and we'll be fighting for our SEC championship. We get to come back, and we have a home regional, so we don't deal with the stress of that. around traveling in finals when we get here for May 6, 7, 8 for the regional traditions. And then there's no better than feeling to play at home to go to a national championship. So I'm liking the way things are stacking up. And Augusta was such a big thing to focus on, but we've been playing really good leading up to that. So I'm excited for us to get on the road again and compete and learn from that.
Gerrod, I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll come back with Layden Robinson next on TexAgs Radio. All right, let's get to it. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to the War Daddy. Let's go to the hotline. We're joined by Layden Robinson. It's been a minute, Layden. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir, it has. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. So happy to see you here on the show. How's this whole process been for you to get ready for the NFL draft and just kind of having to do things on your, about yourself, not necessarily about the team?
First of all, I'm happy to be back here. You know, it's been a while. It's been a minute. So I'm happy to just get back here. And thank y'all for having me on. And the process has been great. I've just been having a good time during the process, literally going through training, you know, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and then, you know, doing the process of just having interviews with teams, Zoom calls with teams, and just doing all of that. That's just been a great experience. And, you know, a lot of people don't get to experience that. So I could say I've just been blessed, and I give all glory to God.
Layden, has there been a person, maybe it's an NFL staffer, a GM, a team, somebody that's reached out to you and you're like, holy smokes, I'm talking to the Dallas Cowboys, or I'm talking to the Texans, or I'm talking to somebody like that?
Well, to be honest, that's how it's all been for me because, everything is just a shell shock, like you're here now. And it's like you've been dreaming of this moment. You've been looking at this transition from years and just worrying about, when I'm going to get there, how I'm going to get there, what is it going to be like. And now it's here. It's like every coach you meet, everybody that you talk to is just like, wow, like, I remember seeing you on TV. I remember, it's just a shell shock it's like shell shock moment.
Have people talked to you about your time at A&M when they're interviewing you and just wondering why the team didn't have the success that we kind of expected the last couple of years? Is that part of the conversation?
Yes, sir. You get those questions a lot, and you just have to, just answer them, and about why didn't y'all have success? That's one of the biggest questions because we had the biggest classes coming in, and just that. So of course you get questions like that all the time.
And what are your thoughts on it? Why do you think it didn't? I mean, you played very well, but overall the team didn't win enough games.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you have a team and you have talent and you didn't win enough games, when you come to that, you're just thinking of why didn't it mesh? Why didn't it mesh? And what were the problems that we had internally there? That's when you go back to it's all about the culture that you present at the end of the day, and it's all about who's willing to follow the lead of in your culture. And it's like that's the main problems that you have to have a winning culture and everybody bought in. And just in the cases, when we had these miraculous, talented teams, there was a lot of people that wasn't bought in miraculously. And I bring it to where you say, hey, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink. Some people just got to figure it out on their own. And if they don't figure it out, hey, I guess they'll either find somewhere else to go. So that's what you get in those situations.
Layden, I think A&M also provided you an opportunity for yourself, though, to be a leader. Do you feel like you grew as a man, as a leader of that offensive line?
Yes, sir. Most definitely I did. I just remember all the good times and, all the challenging times that I had. And that made me the person who I am today. Just how to, carry myself, how to learn how to go to work every day, even though things are not going well or how you want it to. What's the energy that you're going to bring today? You got to be that light for other people too. That's not feeling it. Even you may not even be feeling it as well, but just the case that you have to bring yourself up and you have to carry yourself like a professional every day and come to work no matter what the circumstances are. And you have to make sure you have that energy to not only help yourself, but to help others around you.
Now that you're in the middle of it, what do you think about these draft projections that are out there? Because you're actually living it. People have put these things out there for everybody, not just you, but you're actually talking to the GMs. You're actually talking to the scouts. So, what have you learned about this entire industry that has started because of what talent does on the field?
Mm-hmm. I've just learned that, everybody sees things differently through a different lens, so to be honest, you don't know, when people ask a question do you have a feeling of where you're going to go, or you don't know anything. Teams, they talk to you and they tell you how they'll love to have you and how you can fit their system and that. But, at the end of the day, it's a business. Some teams have different needs. Some teams need this. Some teams need that. So you can't find it, take it harshly if you don't go to that team because, at the end of the day, they have needs and certain needs that they have to take care of. And how I'm thinking about where I go, I just want to get my foot in the door. I just need an opportunity to show that what I can do for an organization and how I carry myself professionally and how I could come in there and I could learn their system and be a sponge and soak up knowledge and information from those veteran guys of how to go through life as a pro athlete and, how to set your schedule or just how they do things so I can make it my own. Just going through that, that's my mindset going into this.
Have you reached out to Kenyon or anybody recently that's kind of gone through this process for advice?
Well, I've reached out to, I remember I talked to Dan Moore. I got to talk to Dan Moore a lot. He always giving me just advice or just information. And I'll just check, he'll check up on me from time to time to ask me how I'm doing. I believe that's the only player I believe I talked to the Marvin Leal one time, but yeah, that's all I talked to.
And what about the guys going in the draft with you, right? The McKinleys, the Edge. Do you guys have any kind of conversations, kind of all going through similar emotions?
Well, I talked to McKinley at the Senior Bowl because we was at the Senior Bowl together. Me and Anais and King were at the Senior Bowl together. And we all just checked up on each other and talked to each other. Then I remember I saw Anais down where I was training at one time, and he was down there, and I checked up on him and we talked then. It's just every time, we've seen each other, it was just that good energy and just encouraging each other to keep going. And how we was proud of each other that we got here and that we represent A&M.
What kind of pro do you think Anais is going to be?
I think he's going to be a great pro.
He does it all, doesn't he?
Oh, most definitely, he does it all. But you can just see by his work ethic and how he carries himself off the field to like just encourage people, and how his family raised him growing up. That he has no reason why he shouldn't be successful in the pros. Because knowing his family and knowing him and knowing the values that they have, that's obviously been instilled in him. So that's just going to help him become a more of just a professional at the next level, because he knows what it takes. Because he had a brother, his brother, was in the NFL too at one point, so he had that too as well. So his brother lets him know how it is up there at the next level too as well. So he has an amazing amount of resources for him, and also him as a person that's just going to help him skyrocket in the system.
Talking to Layden Robinson here on TexAgs Radio. Layden, let's talk a little bit about the state of the program right now. A&M, Coach Elko takes over. I know you knew him from before. What are your thoughts? Sir. What are you hearing? What do you think?
Oh, I'm hearing that it's great. I'm hearing that he came in and he demanded a culture shift, and how everything where people are taking initiative and they're making sure that they're more make sure everybody's not missing nothing now, and it's going this and it's just pinpointing, and he's very serious about how he came in and he said we're changing this culture, and I've been hearing that from guys and they love it. It's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be challenging, and they love it, and I'm just excited for them to see how far they go, because they have a heck of talent. They got a lot of talent out the portal. They have a lot of guys coming in there, and then they committed and they're competing against each other. And you could tell that those guys have a lot of love for each other, because you see them dancing together, you see them just having fun, a lot of smiles. So I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for what they're going to do, because I feel like they're doing a good great.
Is it weird though? Like, you just left a few months ago, right? And there's so many new faces in there, like staff, coaching, and players.
It is very weird, going back there, but everybody's just so genuine, and they're great people. So it's different, but it's you feel good about the difference too, because they're just such great people.
Layden, let's close out with this. Just what did A&M mean to you? Not just the football program, but the university, the people here. What does it still mean to you?
Well, it means everything to me, because this is the place that gave me a shot, and it's the place that gave me an opportunity not only to have my love for football and play competitively against the SEC, but it gave me an opportunity to, have a great life after football too as well, about how the education, me graduating early and me coming in and just, getting my Aggie ring, having a great people to just encourage you every day. And just that base that wants to care about you outside of being an athlete. And I feel like that's important. And I feel like that's something that people see little of, just to care around this place and how they want you to be successful, no matter what aspect in life that you take. And they just gave me this, helped me grow as a man, and just helped me grow as a player. Just being there was the best experience that I could ever have, because it taught me how to navigate through life, just the lessons that I've learned there. And, I'm just thankful for being at A&M, thankful for getting the opportunity just of a lifetime to be able to take care of myself and take care of, my mom and my family in the future, because I'm going to be successful, because I know, because all the lessons and trials and tribulations that I've been through. So that's why I'm just grateful to be an Aggie, and I'm forever Aggie. And I just love that place.
Well, Layden, I can't wait to talk to you when you get on an NFL roster, you get drafted. We'll talk to you at training camp. We'll talk to you forever, brother. Thanks so much for making some time for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Layden Robinson there on the hotline. great young man who is exactly what we want an Aggie to be like, an Aggie, an ambassador of this program and of this great university. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with an open segment. We'll get to your text messages, your phone calls. 979-693-1150 is TexAgs Radio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. So we had some pretty good guests here. Luke, obviously, Layden Robinson was fantastic a few moments ago. Hope to see him play well at the next level. We had Gerrod Chadwell. That was a great conversation. But earlier we had Reid Ryan on the show. People were like, why Reid Ryan? He's got some ties to A&M. And then some cool stories have popped out from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy in College Station shared one through text message. She said, Reid Ryan is a great person. My father was an inaugural season ticket holder at the Round Rock Express, and they struck up a friendship for 10 plus years at the ballpark. Reid attended my father's funeral and gave my mother lifelong seats until her death. I will always be appreciative of his generosity when my mom needed to keep living by attending baseball games and meeting with friends she had made with my dad.
Good people, man. There's, if we could all have a legacy like that, Luke, like Reid Ryan, just every person who, every time I've come in contact with him, he's just got a smile on his face. He's very nice. He's very genuine. Doesn't do things for the cameras. He just is a good person, and I think you could feel that when he speaks. That whole family, the whole Nolan Ryan, everybody, the whole Ryan family, just the ones I've come in contact with, just really good people. Another indication of why, and when he was talking about his daughters and his son, about, how competitive they are, I could just imagine having all those athletes in one family. Just that's good stuff. What else, Luke?
Yeah, it reminds me of my family. Not really, but I'm friends with his.
Well, your dad's probably athletic.
Yeah. No, my dad is definitely like the most athletic person in the family. He played rugby and he did wrestling and
You did
football.
lacrosse.
I did lacrosse and cross country, so different levels of physicality for sure.
And you did basketball.
Yeah, I did.
Powder puff football.
I was a coach actually for.
I know you. I could just tell you did that.
Me,
so
actually,
busy.
this is a great story. You're gonna love this. Matthew Dawson and I coached like the powder puff football team for when we were sophomores for the freshmen in our organization. He was the offensive coordinator. I was the defensive coordinator, and we went undefeated and won. It was this thing called Flow Bowl, and so Matthew Dawson and I have been coaching up talented individuals for a while now.
Look at you, Flow Bowl.
Yeah, we actually, you need to ask him about this. If you think his stats and everything he does here is in depth, you need to see that the playbook that he drew up. He had all these crazy names, like everything was named after an animal. It was one of the most complicated playbooks I'd ever seen, and he's a wizard for sure.
Yeah, no, I love his work, by the way. He's a good kid, good stuff. All right, let's do this. In the next hour, we've got Tom Hart joining us, and I'm going to actually talk to him about Reid Ryan because I did not know about that connection, how Tom almost was the voice of the Astros. So we'll talk to Tom about that. I also want to get his thoughts on everything happening with SEC basketball coaches, right? So you've got Coach Cal. Looks like he's going to be announced as the Arkansas head coach later on today. You've got that situation. What happens at Kentucky? And then the domino effects after that, right? Looks like Nate Oates isn't going elsewhere, but you never know. People say that all the time. So it'll be interesting to see what direction Kentucky ends up going and what ripple effects that has. So we'll talk to Tom about that. Then at 10:35, we will talk to Charean Williams. I keep saying that I think she's at Augusta. I should probably confirm that, but I believe she sent me a text message saying she was going to watch the practice round yesterday. So I'm fairly sure about that. And then we'll talk to her about some stuff happening with the Cowboys and their draft and what's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb. So a lot to get into. We'll continue going through your text messages and no more on the way people are ring dunking, although there's a lot of text messages about that and the way Luke and his generation are doing it. We'll get to that at 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. My hunch is our next guest definitely took part in the eclipse yesterday with the glasses and everything. That's my guess. We go to the hotline. We're joined by Tom Hart. Am I right?
You are right. But I want you to guess. Could you guess where I was taking part in the eclipse yesterday?
Don't tell me another beach. Please don't tell me that.
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't argue better than a beach.
Oh. I don't know. Tell me. I can't even think. What's better?
I was on the grounds of Augusta National Golf Club.
Oh, of course. Of course you were.
Yeah. Like if there's any, that place is just magical, number one. I mean, it's Disney World for sports fans, even if you're not a golf fan. You got to go. You got to go at some point, whether it's a practice round or, a Sunday afternoon. It is just amazing. So just to ratchet it up a notch, and because their customer service is next level, as you enter the grounds, you normally get, as a paying patron, as it called, they give you a course guidebook, and you've got, description of the entire course, every hole, breaks down the greens, everything you could ask for, where the concession stands. And in addition to handing you the guidebook this year, they give you a pair of glasses so you can watch a solar eclipse that are Augusta National branded. I mean, they don't miss a beat.
How was it there? Like, could you see? Because here in College Station, it was like just a cloudy day.
Oh, no, it was perfect. It was beautiful, upper 70s, not a cloud in the sky. I don't know what our, moon coverage rate was. I think it was probably like 75 to 80%. So, yeah, and it got noticeably cooler and a little bit darker, but guys were still playing. I mean, I was on the second green and third tee, and Bubba and Phil came through, and I would watch them practice their chipping, and I would look up, yep, there it is, and then look back down at the golf course. It was a bit surreal. I mean, really, to have that paired with Augusta National is not something I could have predicted that I would ever take part in.
Tom, we had Reid Ryan on the program, and he said to tell you hello and that how close you were to being the voice of the Astros a couple years back. He said if he didn't have this awesome career trajectory, he'd probably be with us right now or with the Astros now.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. It's probably one of, I think maybe a third of Major League Baseball I've interviewed with and come almost that close. So, but they're a great organization. They're right there on, that was before they caught fire. Like they're right on the uptick. And I had just come from doing, when I first interviewed with them, I had just had a Houston-Memphis game on ABC on Thanksgiving Friday. And so I think they were like, bro, you're doing ABC football. Why would you want to come to Houston and be, and I guess I didn't convince them that I really wanted the job, but that would have been fantastic.
But also get a World Series ring, a real one, by the way.
Fair. Yeah. I would have taken that.
Yeah.
That ballpark is amazing. I was there when Pujols, quieted the entire crowd. And obviously been there numerous times. I was there when Chipper came off the DL his final year and first at bat hit a 2-run home run. And he's like, yeah, well, that's what I do. I hit home runs in that ballpark. Yeah, that's a cool organization. Reid, a fantastic family, and great to get to know him through that process.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Tom, how's Dan Hurley done this? I mean, I know UConn is a place that if you're a head coach, so you're probably going to win a national championship, but they fell, after Kevin Ollie's championship, they fell below. And even the first couple of years with Dan Hurley, there was a struggle.
I don't think you can ever underestimate energy that comes from a coach. And, I'm not the biggest fan of his sideline antics. I think it's distracting from the game and his players, but it's emblematic of his personality. And if you walk into any building and the boss is the one who was driving the energy bus and fired up about everything that you're doing and moving with a sense of purpose and motivation, that's just a great sign for the rest of the organization that you better show up ready to work every day. You better bring your own energy and some unique ideas. But the bottom line is their talent recognition and development is such that, compare it to what Kentucky went through with Calipari. They understood that, yeah, you can have a one and done, but you can't have 5 one and dones. You've got to supplement that talent with talent of your own that either you brought in from as high school seniors, or you went and picked off a guy from East Carolina because you recognize that he could play at a higher level, and you have a big that you developed that sat for a little bit and then ended up, being a superstar. But their starting 5 is a perfect, I don't know, if they were a band, they would work perfect together, right? Like everybody plays their own instrument and sings their own tune, and it harmonizes perfectly. And they're not all NBA stars. They're not guys that are going to be lottery picks. Not all of them. They have them, but they don't have all of them. And so I think that recognition in this era that you don't just go and get the absolute best players, you get the best players for your system, and somehow they perfected that.
So now Coach Cal looks like he's going to Arkansas. Probably a win-win for everybody involved because Kentucky was ready to move on. Arkansas needed a name. What are your thoughts about him going there?
Well, first of all, I think it's a win for the conference. I mean, it's a huge win. I think the SEC, and I hesitate to say this about power programs. Like, I don't like it when people say, well, baseball's at its best when the Yankees are dominating. I don't believe that fans really tune in nationally to see one team run roughshod over everybody else. But I do think there are certain programs that elevate your league. And I think the SEC, when it comes to basketball, is better when Arkansas is great. And Eric Musselman has had, multiple Sweet 16 runs and an Elite 8 run, but wanted to get back to the West Coast and time to move on. So great. So he moves. I think John Calipari going to Arkansas makes the league better for a couple of reasons. Number one is it elevates the energy and the excitement around that Arkansas program. Get ready, the day after he's announced, they're going to break a school record for season tickets sold. I almost guarantee it. And they've got the financial backing to hit the portal hard and to bring in all the guys they need to bring in. But also, Kentucky, odds are they're going to get somebody really, really good and high profile to replace Calipari. So what you've done is you've kept Kentucky at this elite level because obviously they've had dips in the postseason each of the last 3 years, and you've elevated Arkansas. And I think that's good for the game. And the fact that Nate Oates said, no, I'm staying here at Alabama, it helps keep Alabama on that same plateau. If Oates would have jumped to Kentucky and then Alabama backslid by bringing in somebody who wasn't at Oates' level, then, it's probably, net, no change. But I think it's good for the conference as a whole and good for the profile of men's college basketball.
So where do you think Kentucky goes now?
I have no idea. I just think that they're going to find somebody who creates headlines.
Yep.
It's going to be I don't want to say a surprise of a hire because it's going to get a lot of coverage as to where they could go, but it's going to make you go, you're going to say, wow. Like if you dropped a wow when you heard Cal was going to Arkansas, you're going to say, wow, they replaced him with that guy. And, there's a lot of different names out there that I think have shown interest in the past or would be intrigued by Kentucky, whether that be Billy Donovan or, I think Bruce Pearl would obviously want to be talked to about that position. And would be intriguing for him. I did last night when I was in Augusta, I talked with a CBS executive and, we're watching the Final Four and there's Jay Wright. And I just kind of nudged him. I go, there's no way he's leaving for Kentucky, is he? And he's like, no, he's perfectly happy doing what he's doing and doesn't want to get back into that grind. That being said, you pick up the phone and you call Jay Wright. And you make him tell you no. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I still think there's probably a dark horse candidate that we haven't considered yet, that maybe it's an active NBA coach or somebody who is just intrigued by the challenge of being the head coach at Kentucky, who says, yeah, I'll take it. I want that challenge and I can go win there. Kind of rewinding a little bit, Scott Drew at Baylor is a guy who Mitch Barnhart absolutely adores. And, everybody connected with the program would tell you that would be his perfect hire for a lot of different reasons. They see the game, they see life in the same way. And I think that he would be a home run hire for Kentucky. But I don't know that, guys have gotten so comfortable in the jobs that they're in. Elite coaches who have won national championships, or even Nate Oates, who hasn't, but took Alabama to Final Four. They know that they have all the pieces in their pocket to make it work where they are. it's a challenge then to tackle something brand new and to take on the unknown. So I don't know that you could pull a Scott Drew out of Baylor.
Maroon goggles here with all these transfers that are going to be happening because of coaching changes, all these programs getting first-year players and one-and-dones and whatnot. Does a program like A&M maybe have a legitimate chance to make deeper noise? They should have made noise this year, and with the roster they had coming back. Most of that's coming back minus Boots.
Well, I think that's a question that Buzz has to answer through recruiting. I mean, I think they have the resources to do it and the availability to go grab those players. It's what type of players do you want to recruit? Who do you want to bring in? And are you more comfortable building young men and building your program through 3- and 4-year guys, and to take on that challenge of, hey, we may take some lumps, or does and I think it's an existential question for Buzz, right? Because the relationships are so important to him. Frank Martin was the same way at South Carolina. Guys that want to be tough on their guys and hug them and love on them and build them up and see them through their maturity. Do you have the same impact if you go grab a guy who played for somebody else for 2 or 3 years? Can you reach that player the same way? Can you instill your culture in him immediately? How do you accelerate that process? And I don't know if that's a perfect fit for how Buzz does it. So I'm anxious to see, how does he attack the portal? How does he go find those guys that can fill in around, Anderson Garcia and find go-to guys that are similar to what Wade and Boots turned into over the course of 3 and 4 years.
Well, I'll make this point. I'm a little bit more optimistic because the bulk of that team were transfers, right? Henry Coleman came from Duke. Boots Radford obviously transferred. Anderson Garcia came from Mississippi State. Dexter Dennis, who was no longer there, but he came as well, right? So, I feel like he hits on his transfers when he gets them, and they don't all hit. This year there was a couple that didn't hit as big as we thought they would, but I think he has a track record of escalating that process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, just to volley it back across the net here. Boots was his guy at Virginia Tech.
For sure. Yeah.
You bring in a guy who spent 1 year at Duke and was ready to make a change and probably find some place where he fit better in Henry Coleman. I think there's a big difference in bringing a guy, and Garcia was with Howland for 2 years, right. I think.
Yeah.
And everybody got an extra year. Right. All of those guys had an extra year at their disposal. So I think that's unique. There's a difference in going and getting a rising junior or rising senior who's going to jump levels that you're going to have finite time with. And so I think to be successful, you have to do that because you have to be able to pick and choose. It'd be like having, a pro team and not using free agency.
Right.
You've got to use free agency. So the challenge is, how do you manage that when you have finite time with them? We're going to eventually, I think we're basically there, but eventually get to the point where, there's no 24 and 25-year-old players anymore. That COVID year goes away. I think there's some exceptions going into next season. Right. But the game will get younger as soon as that entire class moves on.
I think that's such a good point, too. And when you're saying this, I'm thinking of two folks. I'm thinking of football coaches. I'm thinking of Dabo, who the feeling is he hasn't adapted to this new way and still considered one of the top coaches in college football. And the guy that A&M just got rid of, Jimbo Fisher, didn't really attack the portal the way Mike Elko has, let's say. And it'll be interesting to see how Buzz kind of goes in when it comes to moving forward with the changing game, especially with the report that I saw that they're considering allowing these unlimited transfers moving forward.
Yeah, the unlimited transfers is it's going to be a real challenge because I think in some ways recruiting gets easier if you're at an elite level program in that you don't have to worry about selling style of play or facilities. For better, for worse, coaches say, hey, when I go meet with the family or get them on the phone, the first question is how much money you got, right? And that's unfortunate, I think, to people old school who say, well, no, we want you to come here for all the right reasons. But it does simplify things. It simplifies in the fact that, okay, well, this guy's number is 100, 150, 200, 400, a quarterback going for $1 million. Either I got the money or not. And by having the money, meaning I'm willing to put you into our salary cap at that number. Sure, I believe in you. I got the number. Come on. And as that simplifies recruiting, having the open transfer policy makes it 4 times harder, right? Because you're essentially doing that 4 times over the course of a 4-year period, as opposed to just once with each guy. And then all the misses, all the people that you start recruiting and you pull the, either you decide they're not good enough or they don't want to come there. That's a lot of work that these coaches and their staffs have to put in.
Tom, I read an article this morning from Dennis Dodd on Scott Frost, and I was reminded that he went 16-31 in his 5 years there at Nebraska, but that he would like to come back into coaching. Do you see him finding a way to being a head coach again? Do you think he'll have to be a coordinator somewhere? What do you think about Scott Frost?
I think that's a great question for Trev. And I think it's a great question that any athletic director that wants to hire Scott Frost needs to pose to Trev, and would. Right. I mean, that would be the first call. And I don't know everything that went on behind the scenes, but if the effort wasn't there from a guy who wore that uniform and was at the outset so proud to have that head coaching job, but you hear all these rumors that the effort just wasn't there towards the tail end on the recruiting side, especially. I don't know how you can invest that kind of money in a head coach. I think the challenge is, hey, listen, go run a lesser program, prove that you're in it for the right reasons and you're willing to grind, because it is a grind. Or go be a coordinator, and then you can jump back up. But I think it would be really hard, given how that ended at his alma mater, for a top level program to invest the kind of money you have to invest in coaches now to go that direction.
All right, I'm going to follow that up. I was going to end there, but I'll follow it up. Does Jimbo coach again?
Yeah, well, if he wants to. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yes, I think Jimbo's still an appealing coach. I think there's comps out there. Obviously, I'm asking you to separate the personal issues that he had, but I think Bobby Petrino is a fair comp. Yep. Here's a guy who's got a football mind and can do it and has a proven track record. Do we give him a shot? Where is our program? And you could take a lower level Power 5 or even a lower level Power 2 program and say, hey, listen, this guy is more appealing based on his track record and what he's done and the excitement he can bring to the program. He's more appealing than going to get the next, MAC head coach or the guy from Lafayette or whatever it might be. But every case is different, right? And it depends on where you are, and it mostly depends on where he is and if he wants to jump back in. I want to thank you, by the way, this 7 minutes or so we've been together, 12 minutes, that you didn't make the Cal Jimbo comparison like everybody else did.
No, I kept seeing that. I'm just like, it doesn't work. There's different situations. Could it end up playing out similarly? Sure. I mean, a lot of things can happen. Or Cal can go win at Arkansas too.
Yeah.
Tom,
I think it's easier to win in basketball too, right? You jump in, you immediately bring in the number 1 recruiting class. Jimbo had the same, but it can be more impactful as young players to make headway early on.
And I also think the point that you made about these older players, these COVID years going away, I think that impacts basketball significantly, because I'm a big believer in older teams, especially when it comes to hoops.
Yeah, 24-year-olds competing against 18-year-olds. Give me the guy with the age over the talent every single game.
Yep, no doubt. Tom, thank you, brother.
Hi, David. Be good.
See you, man. Tom Hart there on the hotline. Appreciate the talk, as always. Let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Around the SEC. Right now, moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21. They're online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Obviously, they're in Caldwell. That's why they're called CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When you go to the website, you're going to find out all the great deals that they have on there. And they do. They constantly are changing those deals. They have a wonderful site with all the vehicles that you can imagine. And then you drive to the lot and you see what they have. You're going to be like, yeah, I want that one. I want to test drive that one and that one. And you're going to get a great experience there, because not only do they have the top vehicles out there and great pricing, they just have an incredible customer service. And the trade-in value you're going to get second to none. They really go out of their way to make sure that you're getting value when you buy a vehicle there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They got pre-owned vehicles. They got them all. And you'll go there and you'll be blown away by the experience out there. And don't forget about their complimentary pickup for service customers and delivery as well. They'll take care of you. That's what they've been doing for a long, long time. It's about a 15-minute drive, the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Luke, follow me here. So part of the reason I'm optimistic about Aggie basketball, look, we saw some kinks in their armor this year that showed up, and I think offensively was the biggest issue, right? They would go on these droughts, and defensively they weren't as sharp as years past. But hey, they had a successful season if making the tournament and winning a game is considered success. I have higher aspirations for this program based on where they were from people returning, which brings me to my point of why I can be optimistic, because in today's world of college athletics, I like older veteran teams, and this team should bring back a lot of veteran players. People were worried about a Wade Taylor post from a week ago. Then I think it was just yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That he put some song lyrics. It was like, I ain't going anywhere. Am I right about that?
Yeah, well, he posts that at the end of every season, like thankful for it all or like
Right.
thank you. He says that at the end of every season. So people were kind of getting worked up over that. I understand if you look at that tweet in a telescope and just only that tweet, it may look like he's saying goodbye, but he has posted that in seasons past. And then just yesterday he kind of affirmed that and put song lyrics that said like I'm staying or like, I'm not leaving. I don't remember the exact words, but yeah,
Well,
he should be back.
The reason when I got here in 21, I started making the comparison to Kelvin Sampson because I saw Kelvin build the University of Houston the way I think Buzz is building A&M. Different in the fact that, Buzz has this, like, they're all about culture. There's no doubt about it. But you have to be a particular type of player to play for Buzz. And I think Kelvin, you have to be a particular type of player as well. But he built it in the similar vein of, hey, I can't get all the 5-stars out there. So I'm going to build it with guys that are going to be hard workers and get the most out of every inch, right? And I think that's what Buzz does. And then with the success that followed, and remember, they were, I think at the time when he first got their Conference USA, but with the success came higher profiled names. And then they started proving it in the American Athletic Conference. And then, obviously, this year in the Big 12. So that's why I feel success could happen for A&M based on basketball. You have a lot of 18 and 19-year-old little kids, and I say little, they're not little physically, but just they don't have the experience at this level, hopefully taking on a veteran team that's been together for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, especially in college basketball now, would you rather have a team that's built on culture and experience or just talent alone? Because if you want talent alone, go look at Arkansas. I know Arkansas beat A&M this year, but they weren't even close to the tournament. Kentucky is a team based all on just 5 stars, 4 stars, who's got the most talent. They lost in the first round to Oakland. So, and especially with the transfer portal, UConn brings in a lot of transfers. These teams that are making deep runs in March Madness are built on transfer portal players. So it's really beneficial to use the portal and bring in experienced players like A&M has done in the past. I expect they're going to do the same this offseason. And really, outside of losing Boots Radford, this is going to be almost the same exact team next year. And you're looking to add an experienced guard, add another big, and hopefully you hope that culture and that family that Buzz has built is enough to continue to build the program. But it's definitely moving in the right direction from what we can see.
Yeah, and we're not minimizing the loss of Boots. That's a huge loss, obviously. But to me, if you continue building this way, and look, Derek brought up, that's not success, that's average. I agree. Like, you have to do more than win one game. But I do little micro goals throughout a season, Luke. I don't know how you are. So obviously, initially, I'm like, this team needs to get to the Sweet 16 or more, right? When the season started, that was my goal. And then I'm like, this team better find a way to make the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. And then it became, this team better win a game in the tournament. And I wanted them to win 2-3, obviously. But considering where we were through the journey that season was, that's how, I consider this past season a success because you did go a step further than you did the year prior. But when we talk about building teams, I think we're going to look at this era of college athletics kind of like the way we look at social media, the way we look at our phones, that we don't know how to handle it until we've gone through it for a few years, right? We don't know the effects of being on your phone all day is going to do for a generation. We don't know the effects of COVID that they're going to do on that generation until a little bit later. There are some data points now, and there are some data points in this new transfer portal era that we are in college athletics, which is why I think a strong culture is it is an important thing. There are years past where Georgia and Alabama have had all the 5 stars in the world and had a strong culture. It'll be interesting as these things develop, and Georgia seems to have a very strong culture still, if that is sustainable, Luke.
Absolutely. I think college basketball, there's way more parity. You look at teams like Purdue and UConn, even, I was going to say Alabama, but we can't exactly say that they have the best culture, but teams like UConn are built with talent. They've got 5 stars. They have multiple players who are going to be drafted, probably 2 lottery picks on that team that just won the national championship. And their coach is just kind of, I almost want to compare him to Mike Elko, just that Jersey tough aspect that you want in every coach. He fights for his players. That video that we showed earlier of Dan Hurley being like, you better get us now. I feel like that energy is what you need in a coach, that tough, hard-nosed person who's going to lead your team. And I look at A&M's coaches, and I see a lot of that same characteristics in the coaches that A&M has brought in. So it all starts at the top, and I think A&M, as a talent-wise in basketball, trending up. Football, I think talent-wise, they're trending up, and the culture is there to back it up. So it takes a mix of culture and talent to win. A&M basketball absolutely has that culture. They have that talent, Wade Taylor. We know he's probably going to be in the conversation for preseason SEC Player of the Year next year. A&M has what it takes. I just think they're a couple pieces away. And thankfully, the transfer portal is a place where you can get those pieces.
Everything you just said there, too, by the way, I think starts off with your head man, right? If there's a culture of accountability, if there are expectations and there's follow through, that starts with your head man. So you look at the teams that are successful on campus, right? Schloss, like, does that guy hold people accountable?
Absolutely.
Does Buzz Williams hold his teams accountable?
Yep.
And by the way, I think Jimbo held his teams accountable, but the culture there was not good. And some of that was because of the type of talent that they let in. You've got to be careful. One guy, I'm not saying anybody was a poisonous person on the A&M football program, but what I think is something you can say about this organization or any organization, one bad apple can really ruin the environment for everybody, can just make it not the right fit for people. And getting rid of people can be an upgrade in culture, and adding people like you brought in today, or yesterday, I should say, can add to the culture.
Absolutely. And these are 18, I mean, even when they commit 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, you don't know what they're going to be like. I would much rather, especially in a sport like basketball and football, you need that veteran presence, and A&M has continued to bring that in, and even it's homegrown. I mean, you look at this team next year, Manny Obeski has been playing meaningful minutes for years now. He was one of the key pieces on the NIT run as a freshman. Wade Taylor is going to be coming back for another season. You bring back Anderson Garcia, you bring back Henry Coleman, you bring back a lot of veteran leaders, and that's even on the football side too, bringing back guys like Shamar Turner who have been there before and done that and can educate the younger players on not just what it means to play for Texas A&M, but all the little things that they may not be used to doing in their high school days because they're just the most talented player on the team. They don't need to do the little things. I think that matters way more in college. And so when you're building a culture, I would feel much better about trusting guys who are 23 and 24 than guys that are 18. So absolutely, you need a mix of young and old, but to have the old and experience that A&M has, you have to feel really good about this team next year.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we'll do around the SEC towards the end of the hour, and I think Nick's got a couple things to get into. Let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Charean Williams here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, though, caller number one, we're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They are Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we're going to give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go straight to the hotline. Charean Williams joining us from Pro Football Talk, our favorite Aggie out there, of course, the Hall of Famer. Charean, I believe I read your text correctly. You're in Augusta, right?
Yes, I'm still in Georgia.
Okay.
So I went to Augusta. So I've been on my bucket list forever. So went to the practice round yesterday. Amazing, exceeded all expectations. Just a thrilling day. I'm sorry I missed the eclipse, the full totality, all of that, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime as well, and it was well worth it. It was unbelievable. Perfect day, not a cloud in the sky, about 72 degrees. It was just all around good. Got to see Tiger right when we got there first thing, and just a totally a great day. It's the Disneyland of golf, and just it was an experience. Wore my Aggie shirt and saw two or three other Aggies there, so that was fun.
You know, it's interesting too when things are hyped up the way Augusta is, and they match it. I love hearing that it matches what everybody says, and maybe even exceeds it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like you know, I really didn't know what to expect, and I would like to go back one more time just because now I know where to go and what to do and what people, were telling me, and just the food, have the pimento cheese sandwich. Well, now I want to try the egg salad sandwich. I didn't try that one. And, these $1.50 sandwiches that are so amazing. Everything's so organized and well run. And it literally is like Disneyland. Like they pick up all the trash. They are so friendly. I go to the bathroom and the lady in the bathroom, well, ladies, how are we doing today? When's the last time you had a bathroom attendant ask how you were doing and shout out? I mean, everyone there is just so joyful. You can leave your chair just sitting there on 16 or wherever and go wander the course and come back and your chair's still sitting there waiting for you to come back and sit down. It's just, it truly is just an amazing experience and probably unlike any other event that I've been to everything now. I've been the last thing I think on my bucket list. I've been to the Kentucky Derby. I've done, 29 Super Bowls and 7 Olympics and done all these great things, all the All-Star games and all the championships of every sport. I've done national championships too. I think the last thing left on my list is I would really like to go to, well, 2 of them probably. The Rose Bowl and an Army-Navy game are probably the 2 things left on my list that I haven't done, but done just about everything. And this is going to rank right up there at the very top of the list, if not the top of the list, right below the Olympics and the Super Bowls and things like that. It's definitely in the top 3.
Charean, I saw this on Twitter or X, and I thought it was a joke, but it's not a joke. The mayor, Eric Johnson of Dallas, is encouraging the Kansas City Chiefs to move back to be the Dallas Texans again, that they can host 2 NFL teams. What's going on here? The logistics with KC, obviously a couple of Super Bowls here in the last little bit. What's going on?
Well, Kansas City had a vote. Jackson County in Missouri had a vote for public money to be used, sales tax money to be used for a stadium. It would be a new stadium for the Royals and a renovation of Arrowhead. Why they want to renovate Arrowhead, I don't know. Like at that point, I think you just probably build a new stadium. But nonetheless, that's what they were going to do. And Chiefs would have been happy with that, but it failed, and it failed miserably. Only got 41% approval. So now the Chiefs are really weighing their options. And I know they're using the threat of leaving Kansas City as, Kansas City better find a way to step up. And I think they will find a way to get some public money, however that is. It's obviously voters aren't going to vote for it, but some way they're going to have to find some public money to keep them. And there are places certainly they could go. There are many problems with Dallas. I just don't see that ever working out. First of all, the reason the Cowboys are in Arlington, the reason they ever left the Cotton Bowl to go to Irving and then in the middle of the 1971 season and then now to Arlington where they played more than a decade is because Dallas proper couldn't come up with the public money for the Cowboys. Didn't want to try. Same problem they would face at Kansas City, they would face there. Now, Mayor Johnson is touting the Cotton Bowl as a potential place. They're not playing in the Cotton Bowl. I mean, that place is a dump. I haven't been there in many years, but I think anybody would tell you it's not an NFL stadium. Even with renovations and how you're going to get the money to pay for those renovations, I just don't think that would even be a possibility. Jerry's not going to let them come there anyway. He's certainly not going to let them play in AT&T Stadium, but he's not going to let them come to Dallas. And I don't know why, other than Clark Hunt makes his home, the owner of the Chiefs makes his home in Dallas, I don't know why they would want to play in Dallas-Fort Worth and compete with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are not only America's team, they're Texas's team, they're Dallas-Fort Worth's team, and you would be second. It would be like the Chargers in L.A. They're second fiddle to the Rams. No matter how many Super Bowls they win or what the Chargers ever do, they're still going to be second fiddle to the Rams. So, all those things add up to tell you that this is not really going to happen. But, I think it's good PR on the mayor's part, and I think it probably helps Kansas City in their fight to keep the Chiefs.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Radio. How about CeeDee Lamb potentially not going to take the field during these off-season workouts?
Yeah. Well, the Cowboys have messed up these contracts, start to finish. They have gotten them done, most second contracts with players that they really wanted to keep. There aren't many players that they really wanted to keep who've gotten away. But, you go back to the Dak Prescott contract. He was eligible for a contract extension after his third season, ended up playing on his fourth season, ended up playing on the franchise tag. So it took them 2 extra years to get that contract done. They could have paid far less money if they had done it after the third year, and they would have been in better shape now than what they are with Dak's $55 million cap hit. All of that to say that they need to do CeeDee Lamb. They needed to do him really after last year, and now it doesn't look like they're going to do him after this year. So now he's playing on the fifth year, his fifth year option. So at this point, he can leave after this year. He doesn't have to agree to a contract. Now they could franchise tag him again, like they did with Dak, and probably would. But nonetheless, this is something they needed to get done a year ago. They haven't done it. It doesn't sound like they're going to do it or anywhere close to doing it. And then on top of that, you have Micah Parsons waiting for his money. So at some point, all these things are going to come to a head. Now, they have a lot of bills coming due in 2025. So I don't know how they're going to make all this work, but they've got to find a way to sign Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb over the next. 2 of those need to be done sooner than later. And then Micah, at least he's done into 2025. But they're going to have all these huge contracts because all these contracts probably are going to reset the market at their position. That's a lot of money to pay to those 3 players.
Charean, I don't believe we spoke when Stephon Diggs was traded to the Texans. What do you think about that receiving core and what the Texans have assembled this year?
I like it. I think they have one of the top trio, if not the top trio of receivers in the NFL based on what Tank Dell did last year before his injury. So I just think they're going to have an outstanding receiver core, and then you have Dalton Schultz to go with those 3 receivers, and they have some unbelievable weapons. Joe Mixon. They're the first team in NFL history in one offseason to add a double-digit sack guy and Danielle Hunter. And then they added Joe Mixon, a 1,000-yard rusher, and then they added, obviously, Diggs, a 1,000-yard receiver. The only team in NFL history to do that in one offseason. This is going to be a good team. And I talked about the Cowboys being Texas' team and America's team, and they are, and they always will be. But I will say this right now. The Texans will win a Super Bowl before the Cowboys do, and I think they've got a chance to do it this year. Now, having said that, they're obviously in the same conference as the Chiefs, and it's going to be a big task. They're in the same conference with the Ravens. It's going to be a big task to get that done, and there's some other good teams in that conference. They're playing in the hardest conference, but they have the team to do that. If C.J. Stroud does have a great offseason and takes another step, doesn't have the sophomore jinx, so to speak, and take a step back, if he takes a step forward with that receiving core, with everything they've added this offseason, I think they've got a legitimate chance to be in the Super Bowl playing for a championship this year.
A lot has changed there, and obviously C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, but the organization is the same organization. And a few years ago, I would have told you they were the worst in sports. What changed?
Yeah. Well, 2 years, in 2 years it's changed. And, they fired Jack Easterby, and I think it helped getting Jack Easterby, started out and I know he's doing some stuff with Buzz Williams and A&M, and as a spiritual advisor, that's his specialty. But at running a team, he knows nothing about it. And the Texans let him get far too involved in personnel and what they were doing team-wise, and I think that really hurt them. They got rid of Jack and got back to the basics, and Nick Caserio did a great job, and they're finally hiring a really good head coach. Third, they had 2 one-and-done head coaches, so D'Amico was the 4th head coach in 4 years, and they finally got that right. and then drafting the quarterback, they got that right. Now, I think they got a little lucky when Lovie Smith won that Week 18 game, 17th game of the season, to give them the number 2 pick, because I do think they would have drafted Bryce Young if they had the number 1 overall pick, and they had it until that last game when they won the game and went to number 2, and I think that helped them. Got the right quarterback, the right coach. Anytime you have the right quarterback and the right coach, you've got a chance to win in this league, in any league. Frankly, you got a chance to win in college football. Unless you have the right quarterback and the right coach, you're probably not going to win in any league at any level, just because that's the 2 components. You got to have more than that, obviously, but you've got to have those 2 right to give yourself a chance to win a championship. And I think they got those 2 ingredients right.
Sure. What about Devondre Sweat and his DWI? What does it do for his draft stock? I think the Cowboys are one of the teams that were very interested in him.
Yeah, I think, frankly, he's going to drop a little bit. I think somebody might end up getting a bargain, because there were already talk of Dane Brugler is one of the best draft gurus out there with The Athletic, and he'd already talked about teams that had some concerns about Sweat's partying. And to do this right before the draft just shows you immaturity and a lot of different things. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. Why are you out at 4 a.m.? We all know the saying, nothing good happens after midnight. It usually doesn't. And why was he out? Why was he? That's a lot of drinks for a guy at his weight, to be over the legal limit, assuming he was indeed over the legal limit. That's what he was arrested for and charged with. But we haven't heard what the blood alcohol content was at this point. But he's going to have questions to answer, and he's taken a couple of visits. I think flew to Tennessee yesterday, visiting with the Cardinals later this week, and he's going to have some really hard questions to answer. But I do think it hurts his draft stock. I think he's going to fall a little bit. He was projected in that second round somewhere, maybe he's lower second round now. Somebody might end up again with a steal, though, because I do think he's very talented. But you do worry about that immaturity, off-field, all those things, and those are concerns. Character is a concern in the NFL. Now, they overlook it a lot. I get that. They do overlook it a lot for super talented players, but it is a concern because you don't want to end up with a guy who's suspended, a guy who's doing off-field things that, give you headaches. They give all coaches headaches, and we've seen it at A&M with those headaches. You don't want those headaches. You want good character players who are also really good players on the field.
Charean, great stuff as always. Thank you so much. Enjoy Georgia.
Thank you, David.
See ya. Charean Williams there on the hotline. Always bringing the heat. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around the SEC, get some final thoughts in. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I've seen a lot of reference to Chili Fest. Did you have a blast or something? Were there a lot of pics that you posted, Luke?
No, I haven't posted any pictures, but people keep asking for the Chili Fest pictures because I was there. I didn't see Kay, but I heard that she was there. I almost ran into her. But yes, we were at Chili Fest. That is what college kids are doing these days.
Yeah, and adults
That's
too.
typical Kay Nagley behavior, by the way. If you're out and want to, say hi to her, just don't expect to see her because she won't say hi to you.
Interesting. By the way, it's time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12. Nikki didn't tell me. 979.
My phone went off, though.
1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls, a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Luke Evangelist, we keep delaying around the SEC. I know you got some topics to hit for us.
Yeah, let's start it off with softball. Aggie softball moved up to number 13. That's one spot up from where they were in the latest D1 softball rankings. And I want to point out that the latest rankings feature 9 SEC teams in the top 17. And if you throw in Texas and Oklahoma, who are ranked 1 and 2, that's 11 of the top 17 teams currently who will be playing in the SEC next season. So A&M softball is going to travel to Tuscaloosa this week to face off with one of those teams ranked in the top 17. Number 17, Alabama. Trisha Ford's squad is 31-8 on the season and currently standalone third place in the SEC standings. And that brings all of A&M's Diamond Sports to an incredible 59-12 this season, which is absolutely unbelievable.
That is fantastic. Good stuff.
Yep, we've also got the men's D1 baseball rankings just came out as well. A&M stays at number 3. Vanderbilt, their opponent this week, is at number 6. And their opponent next week, Alabama, is coming in at number 25. So 2 back-to-back big-time series for A&M baseball. They're looking to continue their 3-series winning streak against some obviously tough competition in the SEC. So make sure to come out to Olson. If there's a game tonight, who knows? Come out to that one. Just show up just in case. And then also come out this weekend for a huge top 6 matchup with Vanderbilt.
Yep, no doubt about that. Anything else?
Yeah, India Rogers declared for the WNBA draft. She led the Aggies this season, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists to lead Joni Taylor's squad to an NCAA tournament berth in year 2.
Excellent stuff. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, so tomorrow on the program, John Harris, Jamie Morrison, we're going to get a volleyball check-in, and, of course, Ryan Broniger will be with us, Kenna Rogers, as he always is, on a Wednesday. My thanks to all of our awesome guests out there. Got to give props out there to Obi. I don't know about Obi. Yeah, he did good. Obi was really good. Reid Ryan, fantastic interview. Gerrod Chadwell, love my guy. Layden Robinson, great to catch up with him. Tom Hart, and, of course, Charean Williams. That's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Tuesday. We will see you all mañana.